research going on deep learning. Okay, so that's what we saw last week. If we want to look at this in terms of diagram, essentially what we have there is that you have a lot of hidden layers, and each hidden layer is what we refer to as intermediate deterministic computations. So this is what makes it different from Bayesian network, which is undeterministic. So in the case of deep feed-forward network, the intermediate layers are deterministic computation on their own. So, and then you can, the biggest so far, in terms of number of layers, I think it's roughly 55 in terms of research in the field. The largest deep layer that has, in practical term, is 55. Yes.
So these two, they do places to record you.
Yeah,
possible.
No problem. This one was recorded last week. So
this is what's part of last week.
Part of last week. Yeah. So the largest in terms of neural network is in practical application so far is 55, and then in general, anything that we refer to as big ranges from 7 to 22 layers. So you can imagine when you are computing matrices of n dimension, and then you have that for the weight, you have it for the bias, and then for each one of them over 22 layers. So that's what we call big neural network. Okay, so we saw that last week, and then we talked about activation function last week. There are different types of activation function. There is the sigmoid, the tangent, the surplus, the rectify. Rectify is relatively new. Actually was discovered by a group of statistical theoreticians in 1997, and they discovered that it's more practicable when you are talking about polynomial function compared to sigmoid, for example, which of course it gives you an approximation. Everything in machine learning is an approximation anyway, but this one actually tries to give you the range at the level of 0, and then it moves linearly up to around 4 as you move against. So it's referred to as the rectify function, which is based on harmonic function. And remember last week I said everything in machine learning, so far as the computer architecture is concerned, whether it's CPU or GPU, is a question of 0 and 1. And any computation that you can actually approximate to those two will perform very well. Compared to the other one, that actually what you try to do is to look at what point, how close it is to 0, or how close it is to 1, or in between. In the case of rectify function, it gives you a neat computation, which is 1, if that is greater or equal to 0, and which is 0 if that is 0. And that's why this function is actually very useful in the polynomial environment. Okay. For those of us that do not like mathematics, I'm sorry, this thing is difficult to explain outside of mathematics, so bear with me for that, okay? So today, what we are going to do is not going to be mathematics. First of all, we want to look at the number of software that are available today. The good news is that majority of these software are free. They are free. And you can download them and you can use them anywhere, okay? So that's the good news there. And because most of the things that we do in deep learning is still in the research mode, in the laboratory. And because people are not too money conscious, nobody is selling anything. I mean, it's out there for free. So the first one we want to talk about is what is referred to as Tino. Tino is a library of Python, okay? And it was developed around 2009, and later upgraded in 2010, applied, and it's called Tino because one of the authors actually, the name is, the development team that started the whole idea is called Tino Development Team, which is the name of one of the authors, the head of the research group. Now, this collection of library, they are very powerful in terms of mathematical programming. What they did is to produce functions for different types of matrices and calculation that you can have, linear algebra, some calculus, and that's all they do. And then, before Tino, there's what is called NumPy, which is a mathematical package built upon Python, and Tino is built upon that. Now, the good thing about Tino is that if you have a computer with GPU, it allows you to actually be able to have what we call symbolic differentiation. You remember last week I showed you all those partial differentiation and everything. It's more or less symbolic differentiation. And symbolic differentiation can be done in parallel. And GPU support that. And then Tino extend that for you to be able to do that very well. And so if you have a computer that comes with GPU, they are very expensive. Tino will be a good thing that you can use. Now, the license is BSD, so it's an open source project, so it's free for anybody to download. Now, the next one is TensorFlow. I made mention of Tensor last week. Now, why Tensor? The Tensor is a mathematical term. When you have a matrices of n dimension, okay, let me use the word now. When you have array of n dimension, okay, array of n dimension mathematically is difficult to compute. Now, Tensor, collection of mathematical function, allows you to be able to actually minimize the computational time. So we now have what we call TensorFlow, and TensorFlow is a tool or a language, if you want, a programming language that is built on top of Python. So it's a Python library. It's also a C++ library. TensorFlow is relatively new. It actually came out around 2012, 2013, and eventually it was associated with deep learning around 2016 by Abadi and his research group. Now, that software that is the TensorFlow is also inspired by Tino, okay? So, and the good thing about Tensor is that you can do a lot of multi-dimensional array easily. I remember Professor Pius last week was teaching you how you can pull all those MATLAB functions and use them for classifier and everything. Tino has the same thing too. They are functions. You just pull them into your Python program, and then you can arrange them. If you look at our perceptron feed-forward, we start from the incoming data, we build the inner layer, we build the function, the activation function, and so on, we get the output. It's the same thing. You just arrange your function so that one produces output into the other one, and Tensor allows you to do that, especially for multidimensional arrays. It also supports symbolic differentiation on multiple GPU. Unlike Tino, where you cannot use multiple GPU, Tensor allows you to have multiple parallel machines that has GPU to be able to do that. Eventually, it was released on Apache 2.0 license in 2015. It's also free. And then come Torch. That's another deep learning. This one is older than Tensor. It's low level. It's also a collection of library functions. It's built on top of C. Those of us who have programmed in C, C is not actually a high-level language as such. It's more or less low level. It also uses multidimensional array, and it has a lot of neural network packages that you can use for forward, feed-forward, or backward computation. And the good thing about Torch is that when you are building something like what is it called? Convolutional neural network, in which case you need a feedback, it's easy building it with Torch compared to TensorFlow. You can do it with TensorFlow too. Okay, another one is the CNTK, which is a collection of C++ library released in 2014, was sponsored or produced by Microsoft Research. Is relatively free, relatively in the sense that you have to sign what they call permissive license, that you are not going to sell it. That's all. You have to sign a license that tell them, I'm not going to sell it. So once you sign that license, they will give you activation code. And if you put in that activation, it will work. That's what we call permissive license. Now, this was specifically used by Microsoft for speech and language processing. They developed it specifically for that. So RNN works very fine on this, if you are using this. So it works very fine. It's a computational network, and it works very fine. And it also supports convolutional network, which is not for that speech processing, but you can adapt it for that. Okay? It executes also on parallel GPU if you want. Another software is Cafe. Cafe also is C++ and Python function, library function. It's based on BSD license. We released roughly around 2012, and it was used in the competition AlexNet and ImageNet. Those of us who were around last week, I talked about the collection of handwritten digit and number, which was under the ImageNet challenge. This was built for that. The Cafe collection was done using that. Okay, and then we come to this one that is more or less popular. This is the one that you can use on Waker. It's called Deep Learning 4J. It's a Java base. Okay, it's the first Java-based source deep learning. It's also available for free, Apache. The best way to use this one is actually to use it as a plugin into Waker. We'll see that later in the day. It's easier to use that way. It uses a multidimensional array just like any other deep learning software, and provide a number of linear algebra. Those of us who have done some numerical method computation before using library function, it provides you with a lot of linear algebra and matrix manipulation, and it's more or less similar to NumPy. So this is one that works on Waker. Now, the problem with this is that it's simply a feed-forward deep neural network. That's all. If you know your mathematics very well, you can work around it to construct convolutional neural network or anything, but it's complex. So don't even bother. It's simply feed-forward neural network, deep neural network. That's all. It works very well for anything that is that. And then you have a bunch of other smaller deep learning, that's like Lasagna, Keras, and CUDNN. These are lightweight Python library. If you have a computer that is dated, and these are type of the things that you can actually download. They are lightweight and they work on any architecture. But if you want to really optimize them, you need a GPU. You can download that separately, especially for CUDNN, which if you want to program, use deep learning for gaming and so on and so forth, and you have a good server or computer that's made of good GPU, then you download the library and you download the CUDNN and you can do that easily. Okay. So now, because we're going to go to Waker this morning, I just put this one here for you. Waker support deep learning, and you can plug in the deep learning for J, which I shown before, package into it. Also, Waker allows you to plug in Python, plug in R, okay? And it allows plugin for, what is his name now? So you can actually have a whole environment of Waker, and you can do very good deep learning using Waker if you want. Okay. So far, any problem? Now, all these software, they are free. Yes, please.
Sorry, just on behalf of the students.
Yes.
Firstly, I want to ask two clarifications.
Yeah.
When you build the architecture of the deep learning,
Yes.
Now, it suggests to me I have a problem, and then I need to analyze critically.
Yeah.
I'm able to say with simple neural network, not deep, going into it or the other.
Yeah.
But there's some kind of methodology for analyzing a given problem situation for you to be able to now build that architecture. Is there anything guideline like that?
Two things. Let me start with deep learning. Deep learning is a specialized area of machine learning, and there are different types of deep learning. What do you call it now? I'll call it approach. Okay. There's general deep learning, which we call feed-forward perceptron deep learning. That's all. That's the general one. And the only thing it does is that you have layers of neural network, intermediate layers that I've explained before, and you can use it for anything as long as you can actually devise the architecture correctly. Now, if we get out of that, there are specialized deep learning that have been developed for special areas. For example, if you are dealing with image processing, string processing, etc. like that, convolutional neural network is developed for that. That's what is developed for. It works very fine with that. You can use it for something else, but the primary function of convolutional neural network is for that. Now, there is recurrent neural network, which was developed specifically for natural language processing. And an example of recurrent neural network is the long-short memory thing. It's an example of RNN. And long-short, again, what it allows you to do is that when you are dealing with language, natural language, assuming a sentence has, 25 words in a sentence, okay? Now, what learning process is that it predicts the next word based on the previous one. Now, RNA, what it does is to memorize the previous something up to the 24th word to predict the 25th word of the sentence. Now, what has been discovered in research is that RNA actually loses memory. The bigger something becomes, it loses memory. That's number one. Number two, if you have a sentence with 25 words, and you have so many of those sentences in a paragraph, in a passage, then it's computationally expensive to carry all the memory. That's why LST, long-short memory, was actually introduced. What that means is that the L will still function as if it is normal recurrent neural network, but the short will only hold the last or the last two. So you can determine what your short memory will be. Is it the last two words or the last three words? You determine from the beginning. My short memory is going to store the last three words. And you are going to use those three to predict the next one. Now, in case you are able to predict the next one, then you fall back to L, which is the long one. So that's what that means. So it's to do two things, to mitigate losing memory and to reduce computational time. Now, there are other neural networks. I won't go in, deep neural networks that are now coming out of research. I won't go into that for now. But let me come back to your question. Your question is this. When you want to do machine learning, anything, the first thing you look at is your data. If your data is not big, there's no need for deep learning. It's a waste of time. That's it. If you have the data, when we say big doesn't mean the volume. For the fact that I have 2 gigabytes of data doesn't mean that that data is big. What we consider as big include volume, include velocity, include veracity. So there are 5V. For example, how many features do you have in a data? A data that is 100 megabytes with 25 features is bigger than a data with 5 features that is 1 gigabyte. So the big there doesn't make the problem, because oftentimes you make mistake and say, oh, 2 gigabytes of data, that's a big data. It may not be. The most important thing is, what's the feature? How many features? Last week we looked at representation of PISU. PISU generally is 28 by 28 for each character. Each character. Okay? If I wrote the word Samuel, I have here 6 characters. 6. Okay? Each one of them is 28 by 28. It's a matrix. The PISU that represents it is 28 by 28. And imagine 28 by 28, 28 by 28. For this word alone, I'm going to have a matrix, okay, that is 28 by 28 multiplied by 6. That's what I have alone, just to process one word. And if I add something like that, 25 of them in a sentence. Remember, this is not even the longest word. There are words that can be up to 20-something letters. So assuming I have 25 of that in a sentence, imagine the number of vectors in terms of matrices that I need to generate. So that is a type of big data. Okay? When you now have a document you want to process, and that document is converted into PISU and is stored, it's a big data. So we need to be careful. If the data is not big, don't waste your time using deep learning. Now, the second aspect is this. What type of deep learning algorithm are you going to use? Again, it depends on the data. Classifier in general works very well with binary data. And when I talk about binary, I'm not talking just about 0 and 1. Binary could mean you ask a question in your questionnaire for something, and all they need to do is to answer yes or no. It's a binary data. Or you give them a choice from 2 things. They need to choose one. Or even if it is more than 2, it doesn't matter. It's a binary data. So classifier work very well with that type of data. Very well with that type of data. Number 2, if your objective function, that is what you are going to determine, what you want to bring out, you are going to determine, can be reduced to a linear function, classifier will work very well. And a good example of classifier is neural network. Are you following my argument? Okay, I need to go deeper here. Now, when we talk about neural network, we can have a simple neural network which is simply a perceptron. That's all. That doesn't have any regression. We can have a neural network with regression. We can have a neural network with multi-layer, and so on and so forth. So if you are using something like Waker, you have all these things, different types of neural network that you can use. Okay? So depending on the number of your features that determine your objective function, then you make choice of your neural network. If you have multi-dimensional feature and your objective function is also multi-dimensional, you go for multi-layer regression neural network. Are you following my argument? You go for that. Okay? Now, that's neural network. Neural network is not the only thing in classifier. You have other things in classifier. If you are dealing with banking issue, for example, and you want to do certain things with banking behavior of customer, predicting who to give loan to, etc., etc. Neural network is not it's not the best thing. It will work, but it's not the best thing. Anything, your best choice will be within the tree structure, whether forest tree or L45 or whatever it is, within the tree structure, because within the tree structure, the algorithm is built in such a way that you can have a multi-level rules. Something like if, then, else. You can have a lot of them. And each root, or what you call it, branch of the tree, can represent each rule. And any algorithm based on tree structure will work better in such an environment, because in order to make a prediction, it needs input from different branches to come to a conclusion. Neural network doesn't work that way. It will give you something, but the accuracy will not be good. Okay? So that's the something. The data determine a lot of things. How big is the data? The nature of the data. If the data is really big, then you can go into deep learning. If it is not, forget about deep learning. Then you come back to the nature of the data, then you look at your data, what are the features, what are the objective functions, in other words, what do you want to get out of it? What do you want to get out of it? Then that determines what algorithm, what type of classifier you choose. Okay? Now, one other thing I will say before we move on is that we've been talking, you see, Professor Pius introduced something last week, which is good. Instead of, normally I talk from the base foundation of this algorithm. Now let's move up, abstract up. There's what we call supervised learning, or supervised learning, and then there's the middle one, which is semi-supervised learning. Okay? Now, your data again determines what you choose. If you have a data that is not labeled, in other words, the data has no answer. Answer means that if I see this is what it is. That's what we call label. The data is not labeled. The first thing you do with the data is to use unsupervised learning approach. Example, clustering. Professor Bayo showed you clustering, how to use it. And in clustering, there are different algorithms. The simplest one is the, what do you call it now? Professor Bayo. K nearest neighbor. And then you start from 1 nearest neighbor, 2 nearest neighbor, and 3 nearest neighbor, until you get an accuracy that actually resembles the data very well. Or another one, there's k-means, there's fuzzy k-mean, there's hierarchical method. Now, even with all those, you still need to choose your distance. Remember, there's Euclidean distance, there's the city block, there's so many of them. You have cosine and so on and so forth. Then you play around with them with a part of the data in order to get accuracy that you want, and then you use that for the whole data. So once you are able to partition your data into classes, okay, that's what clustering KNN does for you. Partition the data into classes. What it means is that it will take data, all those pieces of data that are similar. That's why we call it K nearest neighbor, that have similar attributes, similar behavior, and put them into a class. Now what you are doing there is that you now use that as a label for your data. If now you pick another data, if it falls into that class, then you label it with that class. If it falls into another class, you label it with that class. Eventually you generate a label set, a label data. Okay? Then you can go back to your supervised learning to use it for prediction. That's the way it's done. So now, let me say this. Labeling data is not fun. It's not. It's a field of research on its own entirely. And you have some research group that actually specializes in that. And these are the research group that actually give you free data. Because the output of their work is data. So they put it online. So when you want to download the data, you get to a website, you want to download the data, read it very well. Normally they put a README file here. They may not call it README, but majority of that they call it README. It will tell you the different types of data. Some data will say this data is labeled or is classified. That's another word used. Or it has got answer. Okay? Now, it means that data is already labeled and you can download it and use it for prediction. So in that case, you don't need unsupervised learning. You need supervised learning. Are you following me? On the same website, they can leave the raw data, which is unlabeled. So if what you want to do is in the area of unsupervised learning, you download the raw data. Okay? Another thing they do is that They now separate the data into 2 or 3. They call one part training data, and they call another part testing data. Now, when they do that, generally, they already labeled. Okay, they already labeled. The training data is labeled. Okay, and then you download whichever one you want. Now, one thing I've discovered in machine learning is that people generally at times they don't tell the truth when you read paper. I think Professor Pius mentioned this last week. They want to get very good accuracy, like deceiving themselves. They use the whole data to train. They use everything to train, and then they now take part of that for testing. And then they tell you, I have 99.6% accuracy. That's wrong. That's not the way to do things. Yes, Professor Ojo. It's a wrong approach. And that's why at times you download the same data, you try to do your something the normal way, you don't get the same accuracy, and you are wondering, why is it that my own is different? Okay? So one thing I'll tell you is that if you downloaded the data and then you do the normal thing and you don't get the same accuracy with the paper, don't worry too much. Because people at times deceive, they lie by using, we call it overtrain model. When you overtrain your model, it will tell you exactly what you want it to tell you. That's it.
Okay, that's the
But it's not predicting anything. You are simply deceiving yourself. You overtrain your model, you give it a piece of text, it will tell you, yeah, that's correct. That's all.
So if you don't mind, I've seen some paper with someone is going to have written. They will start with say 10% or training testing. Yeah, so 10, they come from 10, 90.
Yeah, that's what we call tenfold training.
Tenfold, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Now, what in view of what you are saying, what should guide the student? You say, I take this proportion of this, or is it domain driven?
At times it's domain driven, but the rule of the thumb is this. Generally, you want to have 60% training, 40% testing. Okay, that's the rule of the thumb. But in most cases, it's domain driven. It's domain driven. Now, let me say this. You can do tenfold with your training data. You have a data, you've divided the data into 2, into training, into testing. Take the training, still apply your tenfold into it. You can still do that. That's not a problem. That's not the problem. The problem is when you use 100% of the data to train and you take part of the 100 to do testing. That's the problem. It's not the tenfold thing. Another thing again is that if you are dealing with big data and you are using deep learning, because deep learning takes a lot of time. In terms of training, it can take weeks. The data is big. Now, you cannot afford to use 60%. I'm going to talk about that later during the day, how to deal with that. You cannot afford to use 60%. It may take you weeks, even using GPU in some aspect, to train your model. And you don't have all that time to do that. So there are approaches that can be used, which I'm going to come back to later during the day. But tenfold or fourfold or fivefold or whatever it is not the problem. The only problem is that you don't use 100% of the data for training and then take part of that 100% for testing. You are simply deceiving yourself. You are not doing any prediction. You are just telling the model, the algorithm, to tell you what you want to hear. That's all. That's all. And that model is not useful later. It's not useful because it cannot predict any other thing. Because you do not allow the bias. You know, all those things we talk about, bias, activation function, loss function, they are there to make your model to be able to react to something new. Not to tell you what you already knew. If you are doing prediction to tell you what you already know the answer, it's not prediction. So that's why you have bias, you have activation function, you have the loss function. All those, actually we call all of them, theoretically they are all bias. But just give them different names because they are different functions. The purpose there is to make your algorithm to be able to react to something new and be able to give you a prediction that is close enough. That's all. But if you now train those functions, or 100, they've seen 100% of the data, so each of those functions already have a way of behaving to the data. And then you take the same data to test, they give you the answer straight away. Because they have memory. Each of those functions has got memory. And then something they've seen before. Remember, it's a learning.
Yeah.
So those functions are learning. And then they have memory. And what they've seen before, they don't waste time. They give you the answer straight away. Okay? So that's what happened. Okay? So what we are going to do now is we are going to have some fun. So that we stop talking about mathematics. We are going to talk about Waker. How many of us have used Waker before?
I saw the prop. How many of you have downloaded that? The same to you that you download? Or how many have not been able to download?
Well, if you don't have it, maybe we join together because, okay, if you click Waker open, not the slide, I'm not talking about the slide, the software.
The software.
You have the software?
Software. Oh, how many have downloaded this software?
Okay.
Very good.
Great. So what we can do is, those who have it, open your computer.
No, I think they are installed on this machine.
They are already on the machine?
On this machine?
Yes, I'm installed.
Okay, because I was communicating with the day yesterday, was asking me where do we want it?
Okay.
Sometimes I'm going to install on all this machine.
Okay,
I don't know.
log on to the machine and look for Waker. Look for Waker. Waker, W-E-K-O. It should be 3 point something version. Right. And click it, double click it. When it's loaded into the memory, you see a window, a small window like that. Okay, you see a small window like that. Then I already sent you a slide. That slide, you don't need to open it now. It's for your use later. If you want to retrain yourself on Waker, you can use it later. I'm going to use it to guide me on what we are going to do today. Yeah, once you are ready, let me know. This one is fun. There's no mathematics. Yeah. It's coming. If it comes on with a Java something, click it yes, install that Java, okay? Without installing the Java, you cannot run it. It's built on top of Java, so JRE has to be installed. Assuming on the computer, the Java something is not the correct version, it will automatically try to install that. Yes. speaking last time?
I mean, you are getting 2 words.
Waker, this is the latest version of Waker, which is 3.8.3. There are other versions on the website. If you downloaded a version that is older than this, you may not get exactly the same arrangement, but the functionality are the same thing, okay? So are we okay with that? Good, so let's move on. I assume that everybody has got that. So if you look at it, this GUI window gives you a number of things. It gives you Explorer, Experimenter, Knowledge Flow, Workbench, Simple CLI. Now, Waker give you room if you want to program in Python. So if you want to do your program in Python and call all those library routine, you click on Simple CLI. It will give you a window, just like MATLAB. It will give you a window, and then you can actually write whatever you want to write. And if you know how to program Python very well, you can do that. Okay? So we're not going to use that. So we'll forget about that for today. Now let's go to the opposite. Explorer. Explorer, let's click Explorer and see what is going to. Click it, it will take some time. So it will open another window like this for you. Okay? So don't close this window. This is the window we're going to use a lot today. Explorer will give you the window like this. If you look to the top left-hand side, the first thing you have there is pre-process. So Waker normally uses what we call flat data, ART, use flat data. But if you have data in another form, like Excel worksheet or something different, you can click on that, and then you can convert that data into what Waker will use. That's what we call pre-process. That's number one. Number two is that if you want to convert, you know, last week Professor Pius taught you about nominal data, number, and so on and so forth. You want to convert from one to the other one. Also, if you click that button open, there are functions there that will allow you to do that conversion. Later on, we are going to use one of those functions, so don't worry. I'm just explaining this window now, okay? Now, if you move to the right of that button, pre-process, you see classify, okay? Let's take you see, you cannot click it open. You know why? Because you have not loaded any data. So, in order to check that, one thing I want you to do is to go to Open File. Open File, click Open File. It will open a window for you. Now, I don't know how the data is stored on the computer you are using, but on my computer, I store it differently. Okay? On my computer, I will open that top thing there and look for my C directory. Okay? Drive C, local drive C. I click it open. Okay? Now, you can do the same thing too. I will be surprised if it is stored differently. Then once you do that, click on Program Files. Click on Program Files. Oh, okay. Why is this one not opening? At times, depending on the memory available on the computer, this thing can hang because Waker uses a lot of memory. Okay. Cannot load. So I have no memory left. Let me see if I can do something different. Okay. Is it not loading? Okay, it's loading now. Now once you open that, look for Waker directory, scroll to Waker 38, open the Waker 38, you will see another directory, data, click that open, okay? So you now have data. This data not come with the tool, okay? Let's choose the data, let me see which one. The simplest data here is iris, iris.artf. Do not choose the two-dimensional one. It's a different type of data. Choose that. If you choose that and you double click on it, it will automatically show you that. What? Yeah, double click on the data, irs.atrf, double click on it, it will automatically show you this. iris.atrf, double click on it, it will automatically give you that.
What is the extension? ATR. It should be ART. No, is it ART? Not ATR. Is it for
Okay. Just a minute, I will write it on the name of the file is shown somewhere.
Iris plus A.
Yeah, iris, iris.atrf.
No, you mean ARFF?
Yes, FF.
Yeah.
It appears like F. It's T actually. It's T. It's T. Double click it. It will automatically show you this. Once you get this, you are there. Okay? So that's how to open the data. Now, what I did, okay, automatically, Waker will install those default data under its directory. But you can take them out and put it on your desktop. It doesn't have to be there. Are you getting my point? The data doesn't have to be there, but that's what Waker automatically does. You can put them anywhere. Okay? So now we have the data. Are we all okay? Are we all there? I'm going to show you three things with this. Number one, when Waker loads a data, it automatically gives you the statistics for each feature. If you look at your left-hand side in the middle, you see that side. Can you see that side here? That this one, that feature, the feature name is sepalate, okay? This is the distribution of it, okay? This is the distribution of the different aspect of that data, okay? Now, it will also, if you look up in this window, give you the minimum value, it will give you the maximum value, it will give you the mean, it will give you the standard deviation. So Waker does that automatically, okay? For that feature alone, not for the whole data. That feature, data corresponding to that feature in the data. Now, let's click the second feature, separ width. Click it. This will change because they do not have the same distribution. This will change. And then if you look at here, these values also will change. Okay? Now, because the data is labeled, generally, Waker make use of the word class to tell you the answer, that is the label feature, class. So the last feature in the list, number 5, is class. You can click it. It will give you that. So the data set, if you pick one of them, they belong to one of these three. It's either an iris setosa, or iris periscula, or iris vaginica. Now these are, okay, let me explain the data. It deals with eye, eye problem, okay? Different eye problem you can come across can be divided into three, okay? Some of these words are Latin words, okay? They can come into three different something. So if a feature of a particular human being is collected, and then you plug it into that, it can easily predict whether the problem with the eye is that, or is the second one, or is the third one, okay? That's what it means. That's what it means, okay? So it's a label data, and the labeling is divided into three. Each one of them is 50. The number of features that correspond to each class is 50, and the weight is 50. So they have equal length, okay? So this data, we're going to use it a lot this morning. So that's number one. Number two, if you go up again, go up, left-hand side, click pre-process. Click it open. Pre-process. Okay, then go to, once you click it, go to choose. You can see under here, under filter, it says no. Then click choose. It will open for you another small window with filters. Click that arrow. It will open for you another a set of menu. You will see all filter, multi-filter, rename relation, okay? Now, so let's talk about that three. Now, assuming you want to filter the data, you know, in my presentation last week, I talked about filter this, filter that. Assuming you want to filter, and you don't know what to use for your filter, you can choose all filter. It will use the best function to filter the data. Now, don't do that now. We are not going to that. I'm just explaining. Then, but if you want to use multi-filter, multi-filter means that it will choose at least two, minimum two different types of filter to filter the data, okay? Now, if you want to rename something, the data, you can choose that function for renaming. Once you choose renaming, it will give you another window, so you choose your renaming, okay? We are not going to that, but the most important one is that you have supervised and unsupervised, okay? Can we see that? So let's click that arrow close to unsupervised. Unsupervised. Okay? Then two things we open for you: attributes and instances. Okay? Now let's click attribute. Click attribute. It will give you a list of so many things. In that list, they are what we refer to as, in theoretical jargon, as loss function. Loss function. Okay? Now, what it does here is that you can make use of different types of loss function to actually convert the data. If you look at the list, then start going down, you will get to something that says copy. Can you see that? Copy. Under copy, you see data to numeric. Okay? You remember what Professor Pius taught you last week? You are converting the data to numeric. You click on that, and once you click on that, it will close it, then you run. It will take that data and convert it to numeric. Are you with me? Now, if you continue to look, continue to go down, you will get to discretize. Professor Pius mentioned that too last week in Math Lab, if you remember. The functionality is the same thing. Are you with me?
Yes.
Okay. Look under this discretize. You see D4 multi-filter, DI4 string to block. If you are doing deep learning, okay, you are doing deep learning, and you have a 28 by 28 matrix, and because it's going to take a lot of time to do the computation for the training, you want to reduce this matrix to say 5 by 5 or 7 by 7. You choose the one that says DI4 multiply filter. Okay? Once you choose that, it will ask you question, dimension. You have to give it a dimension. So you choose your dimension. What you are reducing the data to. We'll talk about that probably later today on August 3. We'll come back to that later, but I'm just showing you what you can do here. There's a lot of things you can do here. So you choose that. It will now take the data, instead of having 28 by 28 pixel for each character, it will reduce it to whatever you give to it, whether it's 5 or 7 or 4, it will reduce it. Now, it may not be the best in terms of clarity to human eye, it may not be the best, but in terms of machine processing, it helps a lot. A lot. We'll talk about that later in terms of image, okay? So that's that. And there are so many other things you can do. If you look at up there, you can add cluster, add expression, you can add noise. For example, you have a data. We always want to minimize noise in a data. At times you want to get rid of noise. At times it's a bad thing to get rid of noise. Remember, in your perceptron, in your neural network, there's what we call bias. There's what we call loss function. There's what we call activation function. All these functions are there to make your model to be able to behave accurately well in the face of new data. Okay? So at times, you may want to add noise to a data so that you use it for training, so that your model can actually detect the noise. If a data coming in is a noise, it can detect it. So you can use that to add noise to your data. You know, last week, Professor Pius showed you how to deal with missing data by taking average and all these things, okay? The other way around too is possible. You can add noise to data, okay? So many things you can do with the pre-processing. If you move that down, you have so many things. If you go, oh sorry, it's closed. Let me open it again. I'll show you something here. Attribute, down. Scroll down to where you have numeric. You have. Okay, let's start from nominal. You can convert data from nominal to binary, nominal to string. You can clean numeric. You can convert from numeric to binary, numeric to date, numeric to nominal, numeric transfer. So many things you can do. Okay? So data conversion, data filtering, data pre-processing can be done using that button, but we're not doing that now. So just click close that. So that's number 2. Number 3, look at all the buttons at the top. Can you see them? They now show. They show because you have loaded data into the something. Okay? So let's do something with that. Let me see slide. If some of you are looking at your slide, I want to. Okay. One other thing before we leave that. Now, if you look at the bottom right-hand side of the window, we are looking at the label of the data, which is the class, right? As we want to look at everything, not just the label. Look at up here, there's a button, visualize all. Click that. Click visualize all. It will open another window. And that's it. It will show you everything in one window. Now, if you are writing a paper and you want to show the distribution of each of your features as part of the background, you do something like this, you can save it. You can save this. And you can just copy it into your paper. Are you getting my point? You you have a data with 5 features. One of those 5 is the label. And you just want to show you are talking about the data in your paper. You are talking about the nature of your data, distribution of your data, okay? Instead of writing a lot of grammar. You can do this, copy it and put it in your paper. Simple, okay? And there's a way to manipulate this. I will leave that to you, okay? So you can do a lot of things. So that window that come up open now, you can close it. Don't close Explorer, be careful. Just that window, close it, okay? So we now know how to visualize the different things. So let's do something now. I'm thinking of what we can do next quickly. Okay. So let's go on to classifier. I think that would be the best place to start. Let's click on classifier.
You classify it?
Classify, sorry. Yeah, click on classify. Okay, click on classify. Just click it. So it will change that window a little bit. So let's talk about the new window. Are you there? Okay? Now, to your left-hand side, here, you see what is referred to as text options. This button is use training set. Assuming your data, the data will just loaded, it's a training set. So you click that to tell the machine that it's a training set. The second one, if you have a supply test set, different from the data that you just loaded, okay? You can click that, then you click on what is there, and then you can load that, a second data, okay? The third one, if you want to do cross-validation, Professor just talked about cross-validation. Normally, Waker, by default, puts you on cross-validation. That's what it does, by default, okay? Then, to the right of that, you can see 10. So, by default, Waker use 10-fold cross-validation. Now, you don't have to use the 10. It can be 2, it can be 4, it can be 5. Remember, what is 10-fold? 10-fold that if you take 100% of your training data, okay, it's going to take the first 10%, use it for training, the next 10%, the next 10%, that's what 10-fold means. If you make it 5, it's going to take 20%, 20%, 20%, okay? Now, if you make it anything lower than that, it's going to, the lower it is, the more the bigger the portion that is taken, okay? And you can make it 20, you can make it 100. In biomedical system, generally they use 50-fold. That's why it takes weeks for their training. Because they want to get all the edges. Assuming you are looking at human tissue, you are looking at X-ray that is taken, and you want to capture everything. And there are so many X-ray, thousands of X-ray you want to use to train your system, and the edges, the whatever, then they use 50-fold, and that takes weeks to do, to train the model. Okay, so that's what that means. Now, if you don't want to use any of, if you don't want to use cross validation, you click on percentage split. Click on percentage split. It will take the button away from the cross-validation, okay? Click on that. Now, we see that by default, Waker comes with 66. What that means is that 66% for training, 34% for testing. Now, you can change that. If you want 60-40, you put 60 there. If you want 50-50, you put 50 there. If you want 40-60, you put 40 there. Okay? You can change that. But by default, that's what Waker gives you. Now, if you want more options, click the button that says more options. A window will open for you. Another window will open. Are you with me? So, in that new window, by default, Weka already give you certain things. For example, output model. The model will be output. Output confusion matrix. Okay? Professor Payos talked about confusion matrix last week. You remember? We're going to look at that. It will output it. Store prediction for visualization. It will store the result of the prediction. Later on, we're going to look at that, how we can visualize our prediction, especially the distribution of certain point. Then, if you want something else, assuming you want to output the model for training split. In deep learning, you do this. You click that. If you want to output the entropy evaluation measure, you want to see how good the entropy is. Now, in deep learning, in order to reduce the computational time, you may want to play around with the entropy. So you may want to output the entropy function because they consume a lot of time, and then play around with them. So you may want to click that to see the result of entropy. If you want to look at the error plot points proportional to the margin, you can do that, especially in image processing, you need that. If you want to look at the cost-sensitive evaluation, you can do that, okay? And so on and so forth. So there are so many things you can click, and that will be done during the prediction, and the output will be given, okay? Are we following that?
Sorry.
Yes.
Is there, these are terminologies,
Yeah.
Now, is there any way you can click, say, help?
Oh, there are things, but
what does that
not on use window.
What does output entropy something mean?
Well, I've explained entropy function before.
No, I know.
Loss
I'm saying when you are here,
yeah,
is there any help?
You have to get out of the window and then get into the something.
Okay.
Look at that. Yeah. Actually, the package comes with a what they call manual.
Okay.
So my suggestion to you is download this manual. Right. It's a PDF. If you think you cannot read it on your phone or whatever, print it out. It will help you a lot. Right. There's a lot of function. There are thousands of functions. The popular one that we're looking at. So there are so many things you can do. Okay, so now let's click OK for that window. We close it. Okay? Are we there?
So,
Yes, I'm listening to you.
The PDF you're referring to is the full way. It's a PDF full.
The what? Manual. Yeah, you can. The website I asked you to go to, University of Wekito. Okay, what you can do when you have time, Google, just type Weka, W-E-K-A. It will take you to the website. Click on that website. On that website, you have a lot of things. You have papers, you have manual, you have so many things on that website. You can download. They are all free. So you can download anything there. Okay? Now we're back here. So what do we want to do with this? Now, we already clicked on percentage split. So we're not going to use cross-validation. We're going to use percentage split. We already click on that. So we're there. Then, I'll show you something. If you look at the top here, left-hand side corner, you see choose. That button is a popular button. Okay? Now, when we're on classify, which means classifier. Are you with me? It will automatically load an algorithm called 0R for you. Okay? That's what Weka does. But you can choose what you want. So click on that button, choose. Click it, it will open something. At times Weka can hang, like it's hanging for me now. It's problem of memory. Okay? It will open that. Are you there? All algorithm dealing with bias is in that folder. All algorithm dealing with what we normally refer to as classifier is in function. We'll come back to that later on. All algorithm dealing with rules, okay, like 1R rules, tree function, binary tree is there. All algorithm dealing with tree, like forest tree, etc., is in tree. So let's look at something before we do computation. Click open Let me close all this. I want to close all this one. Click open the last one, which is tree. Can you see it? Okay, my window is misbehaving. I'll go back again. Click open tree. Can you see tree? Okay. Under that, you have the different algorithm for tree manipulation. You can see some of them that are familiar for you. Random forest, random tree. Okay. There's decision stop. That's a decision tree. Those are familiar. J48 is also familiar. You use it a lot. Okay. And there are other ones. LAD tree, NB tree, offlink tree. You have so many. Now, what Weka does is this. You have some that are not appearing, like IB3, M5P. Weka will only load algorithm or function that you can use on the current data. It will deactivate those algorithms that you cannot use, that will not work with that data. Remember, the nominal data, the numeric data, the something data. So Weka already know what the data is. And Weka will show you those algorithms that you can actually use. The one you cannot use, it will not show it. It's not that M5P. M5P is there, but you cannot use it on the current data, so it's not showing it. That's what the Weka does. Okay? Are you with me? Yes. Good. So we are moving on. So now, since we are in that tree, click on J48. Click on J48. J48. Immediately you click, the window will close, and it will show you here. Can you see? Okay. Now, I'm going to say two things before we run the simulation. If you are conversant with the mathematics, you can actually manipulate that algorithm. Take your mouse, click on that J48. Do you see where okay? Click on it. It will open another window. Can you see that? It opens another window. Now, it gives you all the different parameters that you can manipulate. Weka will put in the default for you. You can use it as it is. But if you know the mathematics and you want to play around with it, it's easy. Okay? You click that open. The batch size is given. Batch size means that you have a data. What size of the data is the machine going to process at a time? That's what we call batch size. Okay? If it is a big data, you want to increase the batch size. Because increasing the batch size reduces the number of iteration. Are you following me? Okay? Then it gives you, do you want to have a binary split? For this data, there's no need for that. Oh, it's false. Now, if you want to visualize the tree, do you want the tree to be collapsed? Because if you generate tree, the tree can be big. Do you want to be able to collapse the tree? That's the next one, which is true. Okay? Then you can set the confidence factor. Here we set it to 0.25, which means 75. Okay? We are saying we are good with 75% accuracy. That's what it means. Hello?
Yeah.
Okay? If your confidence factor is 5, it's going to be 5%, you change that to 0.05. Are you with me? You can change that to anything you want. But the smaller that value, the more processing it will do, and you may not be able to attain your accuracy. So, but you can play around with it. Okay? Now, do you want to be able to debug while the thing is going on? Generally, I leave all that to be false. But if I'm doing deep learning, I'll put that true to see the intermediate result. Okay? And then it gives you minimum number of objects, number of decimal places.
Sorry, if you don't mind.
Yes, yeah.
There is a common view about deep learning,
Yes.
or machine learning generally.
Yeah.
A lot of things done in what is called black box.
Yeah.
And as a result, we cannot trust the system as that. Now, the bug you say now.
Yeah, the bug is there. Actually, that statement is no more true.
You say, yeah.
The only problem is that if you don't know the mathematics, you cannot do anything.
I know.
You go with the default.
But the fact is that you can
see
say that I want to see intermediate something going.
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay.
You can do a lot of things. The only thing is that you need to understand the mathematics. If you don't, just leave it as default. You're okay.
Sorry, why I'm on the floor?
Yes.
This waiter is a tool.
Yeah.
And we tell you that tool is a tool to solve a problem.
Yes.
No tool removes the responsibility for me understanding my problem, identify what is the right solution there.
No.
Now, for a master student, we can use this tool to deal with data to get accuracy. Now that we have all the standardized tool and things, we have to say doctoral student come in to make contribution to knowledge.
Well,
I mean, I need that clarification. There are a number of them here.
Well, it's a difficult question to answer.
Please, I want you to answer it.
It's a difficult question to answer in the sense that it depends on actually what you are doing, okay? And it depends on where you are. If a doctoral student in computer science is working on machine learning, prediction things, he or she has to go into a lot of theoretical perspective in order to be able. You don't just choose things because they are things. You have to tell your reader why you chose them and what are the parameters and what are the different factors that you put into processing that. Okay, that's a PhD student in computer science.
Right.
A PhD student in computer system engineering, they don't need to do that.
Right.
Because the science is before the data. All they are doing is using the data, conducting the simulation to be able to confirm something.
Right.
Okay? So all they need to do is to understand their data, be able to understand what algorithm would be effective for that data, and to be able to interpret the output, okay? And then link that with where they started from. For example, if I'm doing image processing, for example, image processing, this idea about convolution, filtering, depreciation of figure and everything, all those are theory. They are not theory of machine learning. They are not.
No.
They are theory of image processing.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So all they want to do is to use machine learning as a tool. So they don't need to know the science of all the algorithm. They don't need to, they may know it, but they don't need to prove. Okay? So that's why I say it depends on where they are. You see, at times we mix things together. We talk about information technology as if it's a discipline. Information technology is not a discipline. It's a grouping of many things. And the fundamental is computer science. That's where you do all the science of information technology. That's where compilers are developed, programming languages are developed, algorithms are developed, and they are tested, and they are measured, and they are doing that. So if you are doing PhD in computer science, that is that. Now, on top of that, there's the application, which of course you have computer system engineering, for example, that can apply some of these algorithms. It's not their role to prove unless they want to compare different algorithms to do certain things. Then in that case, they need to prove why one is better than the other one. Okay? And then if you now go to informatics or what do you call it now? There's another department you have, information technology. They are even far away.
They're dealing with communication networks.
Yeah, they are far away. My suggestion to people in informatics and information technology is actually to look for a package like Waker to use when they are doing machine learning, because they do not have the background to actually understand the science and manipulate it. So that's why I say it's a difficult question to answer. So it depends on where you are and what you are doing. Okay? And so, anyway, So we have these. So you can do what you want to do in that. Let me see if we can do something with the data we have presently. Something in the slide. You can do anything with that data. Nothing. Okay. If you pull that table up at the bottom, can you see that? Just click OK. Just click OK to close it. So that window is closed. Then what else do we do? We are still on percentage split, which is 66. That is good. Then so we do that. What do we want to do now? I'm just looking at something else we can do. Okay, that's all. Now, look at the button Start. Can you see it there? Start. Click that button Start. You will see magic. Okay, so you should have result of your simulation. Your simulation is done. Now, scroll up, because it will take you down automatically, but I want us to start from top. Scroll up. By the way, this screen, you can save it if you need it. You can save it, okay? But let's look at the second line. On top line, it tells you run information, just like in your MATLAB, where it gives you information about the run. It tells you the run information, it tells you the scheme, that is the function, the algorithm you use. It talks about the data, the name, the relation, iris. It tells you the number of instances. The data is 150. It gives you the number of attributes featured in data 5, and it gives you the names, okay? And under that, it gives you the split, 66% train, remainder text. Can you see that? Okay? Then, it now gives you the classifier module, full training set, okay? It starts with what the function J48 prune tree, okay? Now, for those of us who know the science, it gives you a tree, okay? And it gives you certain figure, okay? So, and for example, if the attribute beta width is less or equal to 0.6, it's less or equal to 0.6, okay? That's the starting point. You know, we are talking about tree here. So you build a tree. Where's my, yeah. Okay. Let's do some fun thing here. So the root of the tree is beta width, okay? So you build the tree there, okay? Now, it started by saying, if whatever is calculated for that root, I won't go into the algorithm, there's a way of calculating that is easy. Beta width is less than or equal to 0.6. The conclusion is iris setosa. Iris setosa. Okay? Setosa. That's the conclusion. That's it. Okay? Then the next line. If beta width is greater than 0.6, then you come to this branch here. Okay? Then we move on. It's greater than 0.6. What happened? We take beta width again. We look at the value. Is it less or equal to 1.7? Okay? Beta width less or equal to 1.7. If it is less or equal to 1.7, we get in there. Okay? And then it continues like that. Like that until the tree is built. Okay? So that's the information you have there. Normally you don't check those information, but I'm just explaining what is going on for you. So that's what you have there. Now, and the Waker will tell you number of leaves. Leaves means 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you can see this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, this is 5. Okay? Number of leaves, 5. Size of tree, 9. Size of tree is 9. Okay? And it will give you the time taken to build the model. 0.09 seconds. Okay? So, that is that. Then, it now gives us the results. Correctly classified instances, 49. Incorrectly classified instances, 2. So, which means you have 96% accuracy. Are you with me? Now, why are we having 51 instances? Remember, the whole data is 150. We said 66% for training. 34% is only 51. That's what it's using for testing. Okay? That's the good thing about Waker. Once you put the split, you cannot cheat anymore. But there's a way to cheat. You can start by using the whole thing to, you click the first something that is the whole set. It will use it for training for you. And then you can come back again and rerun the same algorithm, choosing something. Yes?
Let me ask you something.
Anna, please speak louder.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
okay,
And everybody, please wait.
Yeah.
I want to ask, may you kindly please explain the size of the tree again? Like, why is it saying the size of the tree there is
Number of
9?
nodes.
Oh, okay.
Number of nodes.
What it does is, you know, the leaf is 5. Then you counted 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 plus 5.
Okay. Nodes. is
No.
the-
Yeah, no,
No.
yeah.
Yes.
That's what he's saying, yeah. Sorry, I didn't explain that. I thought it was obvious. Yeah. Okay, so correctly classify, incorrectly classify. Then it gives you a number of statistics. I'm not going to go into statistics. If we are there, we'll spend the whole of today talking about statistics. You go and read that on your own. It gives you the Kappa statistics. All these statistics are probability based. So the result will be 0 point something, which means you can talk about it in percentage. For example, the Kappa statistics is 94%. Okay? The higher that statistics is, the better the prediction. That's all. The higher that statistics is, the better the prediction. So in this case, it's 94%. Okay? That's for Kappa. Okay? There are other different statistics. Okay? Now, it gives you the error. Mean absolute error, 0.0394. Now, if you look at that closely, the mean absolute error should not be far from what it gave you as incorrectly classified. They are not the same thing, but they should be close. Okay? It gives you the root mean square error, which is that. It gives you the relative absolute error. Last week I was talking about relative error, total error. If anybody remember, those are the mathematics. These are the applications. It gives you the root relative square error also. Okay? And then it gives you the total number of instances. Now, you can add more statistics to this thing. You know, if you go back, assuming before we run the simulation, we click on the algorithm again, we right click, it will open another window and you can add more, as many statistics as you want. But it's not important really, those are enough statistics. Then here it gives you the confusion matrix. Okay? Now the way to interpret this is simple. You know, when we started, we click on the attribute class, which is the label. It gives us 3 splits. Okay? So those 3 splits represent A, B, C. Are you with me? They represent A, B, C. Okay? The first A represents Iris setosa. The B represents Iris fasciculum. And the C represents Iris vaginica. Okay? So those are the attributes, those are the feature of the attribute class. Are you with me? Okay? And remember, each one of them is how many? 50. But here we are using 51. 51. So if you look at this, Iris setosa, all the 15 are correctly classified, which means they are correctly predicted. Okay? That's what it means. If we move to the next one, Iris fasciculum, all the 19 they are correctly classified. All of them, they are correctly classified. Okay? If you look at the third one, Iris virginica, out of 17, 15 is correctly classified. 2 incorrectly classified. That's what it means. That's how to interpret confusion matrix. Okay? Again, I will recap. Confusion matrix will be generated based on the label class. In this case, we have 3 things in the label class. Okay? That's the ABC. And the result will be presented to you that way. There's another thing we didn't have here. There's another window that shows how this table is generated. Okay? But I don't want to go into the statistics for now. Maybe later we look at that. Okay? Are we okay with this? Any question? So, as you can see here, one good thing about what is it called? Weka is that we have this result. We can quickly choose another algorithm. Okay? So let's see, we're going to choose another algorithm. Looking for another algorithm that we're going to choose. Okay, before we choose another algorithm, actually there's something we can do. Look at this black area. Take your cursor, the mouse, take it over that and right click. It will open a window for you. Can you see it? Now click visualize tree. Visualize tree. Click it and wait. And it will show you that.
Thank you.
And you can save this, assuming you want to include it in your document, in your paper, you can save it. Are you with me? Hello, everybody there?
This is what you interpret.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Exactly the same thing.
Just then,
Yeah, it does. Yes, please, at the back. Can you do what?
Speak louder, please.
Visualize the data. Oh yeah, you can visualize it. You can go into the data and you can open, because it's, the data that come with Weka is automatically a flat file. Now there's tool on window which is called Note, not Microsoft, Note. Use that to open them, you see the data, because it's a flat file. On this one, I don't know what visualization you are talking about.
And just to see your data set, original, the way it comes.
No, you don't want to. Yeah, I don't know. But there are other visualization, okay, that you can do. This is free. I'll show you another visualization of your data that you can do, okay? So that's the tree, and you can save it if you want. If you raise that thing up.
Sorry, Prof.
Yes, I'm listening. Yeah.
You know, you just visualizing all the if then else.
Yeah.
Are you see now? It's labeling if then else, if this then, this is the result.
So here, if the rules generated by J43 for that data is if beta width is less than or equal to 6, then Iris setosa. If beta width is greater than 0.6, then you open another bracket. If beta width is less or equal to 1.7, you open another bracket. If beta length now is less or equal to 4.9, then you go back. If beta width is greater or equal to 4.9, then so generated all those rules. Yes.
And then the number of trays, can you illustrate how to calculate them? You said there were 5 like on this.
I don't get the
size.
question.
Was it the size?
Synthesize?
No, the number of trays.
The number of trees, nice. Oh, okay.
They said 5.
The size of
The size.
The size, yeah.
It's 9 now.
1, 2, 3,
It's
4,
not this black tea.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Notes. That's what it says here.
Number of nodes plus number of leaves.
Yeah, that is number of nodes, but it just tells you number of trees.
Yeah.
Now, you can break it down. Look, you can, if you right click on the algorithm, it allows you to do a lot of things that can actually break this down. Instead of using the word number of trees, you can break it down to number of leaves, number of inner nodes, number of that. But it doesn't serve you anything. Yes, Tolu?
So, how do you export the images?
Oh, okay. That, I'll show you how to set it. You have to set it from the beginning. Okay? You set it from the beginning and it will save it for you. Okay? Yes, please.
Yes, Professor, assuming that you have your data in a TXT file, how do you load the data? How do you pre-process the data?
Oh, okay. You see, under the pre-process we started before, if you click on any of those functions, that is converting a file to another file, it will open another window for you. So it will now load your Excel file, for example, into that window. Then Weka will pick up that file and generate a flat file and then store it. Yeah.
It's also going to classify based on the classes.
Oh, that one you. Oh, okay. Do you have the slide? I think if you have the slide sent to you. If you look at slide, sorry, I didn't open that slide. Maybe I should open it now. Let's see. We can quickly see something. I assume that we will have checked that something. That's why I didn't bother to. Okay, this is slide. Yeah. If you go to that slide, you have this slide number 5. This is an example of Weka file.
Today's slides are of last week.
Today, Dr. Du sent.
It's one pre somewhere. Maybe they didn't circulate to them before.
No, we haven't received.
Sometimes if you circulate, some of them will say, "Oh, I can do it on my own." I don't have.
Okay, I think you are going to get this file.
And you'll send it.
You are going to get it. It's already with Dr. Du. It's PDF. You are going to get it. Okay. So if you go to slide number 5, this is an example of flat file for Weka. So if you look at the top here, the first thing, the @ sign is recognized by Weka. The relation, okay, it gives you that. They are more or less like comments. Comment on the data, okay? You have attribute, age, it tells you the type, it's in numeric. Attribute sex is female, male. Attribute chest pain type is that. Attribute cholesterol, numeric. Attribute exercise induced is no or yes. Attribute class, present or not present. Now, I'm not talking about iris here. Be careful. I'm just giving you an example. This is not iris data. It's a different data. Okay? Now, and here you start the data. So once Weka come across this keyword as data, everything that follows are the data. So that's how your data is arranged. Okay? Yes?
Sorry, Paul. My question is this. If I have a data and I want to use 2 classifiers, whereby the output of one will be the input of other, like handshake, method like that. Like if I want to use,
you can do that. We get there. I know what you're asking. Just wait. We will get there. Explorer cannot do that. Something else can do. Okay? We will get there. Just wait. Let's get the basic. The basic is an Explorer. There are more things in Weka. Yes?
Sorry, Prof. I just want to ask you to repeat a little bit about the confusion matrix. How you explaining like...
Oh, okay. We'll come back. Let's one thing at a time. Someone asked about how do you visualize, how do you see your data? So when you convert your Excel file now to flat file, the flat file will generate this for you. This one. Then you open it and add all this to it at the top. That's all. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Look, the data part here, Weka will take your Excel file, convert it to flat file.
Yeah.
Okay? It will convert it, so it will be like this. And it will put this on top. But now you need to add all these comments to it on your own.
Oh my God.
You open the file and add that on top. Okay? So that's what happened. One other thing here, let me see, I don't have the file. No, the file is, the slide is not here. So that's just how the data. I don't think that's a big deal actually. If there's anything you are missing, just go to YouTube. YouTube has got so many things. Just say, how do I do this in Waker? You get a lot of video that will tell you what to do, okay? So, I'll come back to you when we get there, but not now. I will answer a question. Okay. So we have that tree, we can visualize it, and then we can save it. Now, what was your question again? Okay, confusion matrix. Okay, we're back in confusion matrix. Now, you remember, the time we visualize, let me see if I can go back to preprocessor, okay? That class, that attribute class is the label. It gives you what? 3. A, B, C. Okay? So go back to classify. A, B, C. Okay? A represents iris, and then B represents that, and C represents that. Okay? So we have 15 instances of A predicted for A. So all of them are correctly classified, because that 15 is sitting under A. Okay? You can see 0, 0 for B and C. So it means all the 15 are correctly classified as A. We have 19 instances that are classified as B. And the 19 is sitting under B. It means all the 19 instances are correctly classified. We have 17 that's supposed to be C. But only 15 out of that 17 is classified correctly, which is under C. 2 is incorrectly classified. Normally, when you are interpreting confusion matrix, do not say that 2 is classified as B. No, it's wrong. It could be, because 2 is sitting under B, it could be classified as B, it could be something close to B. So nobody talks about what is misclassified. You just say 2 are misclassified, that's all. Yes?
And all these instances, the total was 1.
Yeah, the total. We'll add them together. 15 plus 19 is 34. 34 plus 17 is 51. Okay? And that's what you have up there.
Yeah.
49 correctly classified, 2 incorrectly classified. It's similar to your MATLAB. Exactly the same thing. Confusion matrix is the same thing. Any tool you pick up is the same thing. Yes, you are putting up your hand. Yes.
Just a comment, Prof.
Yeah.
You are saying that we cannot say that example of the matrix that with the beginner classify as B.
Yeah.
I wonder why we can't say that, because I guess if we are coding this ourselves,
Yeah.
and let's say the whole class is this classified as the other one, you can
Yeah.
to troubleshoot your code.
Yeah.
Maybe in this case, because this software is doing everything for you.
Yeah, look, the result is given to you here that 2 is classified as B, which is supposed not to be classified.
Yeah.
Now, if you are writing a paper and you go into trouble of telling your reader that 2 is classified as B, then you need to explain further why is it classified as B, because you don't know. You don't know. So, something you don't know, you don't get into it. Now, if you want to get into it, look, if you are doing deep learning, you may want to get into it, but you need to explain the mathematics. You know, when we were talking about perceptron, there's that hyperplane. Those two could be on the hyperplane. So the reason why they are put under B is that the distance between them and the class B is the shortest. Is the shortest. That's why they are put under B. Are you getting my point?
I get it.
So you don't want to go into that. They are misclassified. That's all. Move on. Yes.
And Prof, if you take from the perspective of natural language processing,
yes.
You see, for any computer problem solving generally, we have the data component. We say the modeling of the data, and then the algorithm component, say the process model. Now, the richness of the data model would dictate a lot of things on accuracy. Now, in natural language processing, now when we are determining the inventory of senses in which a word, content a word can be used. Now, the level of granularity, how refined our classification of those senses will determine how much misclassification correct classification is going to be. I'm just trying to see the complementarity between the richness of the schema, the data model, and the algorithm. Will determine a lot of things. That is the
I think that's why here, actually, if you look at the mathematics, you at times we're careful. That's why in something dealing with prediction, we don't just conclude by saying we know for a fact that this is so. We don't. The sentence, the language that you use is that we can say based on so that so happened. That's all. You don't know for a fact. Remember, everything is approximation. And if something is on the hyperplane, depending, if you are running, you see the problem with the example that comes with Waker is that this example has been run, all the biases and everything, they already have their memory. But if you run the same algorithm under a different environment, you may get a different result with the same data, a different result. So is the hyperplane, is the direction of the hyperplane, we're talking about vector space, the direction of the hyperplane determine what is done to misclassified instances. In this case, the shortest distance from those two misclassified is the shortest distance is to B, and then put it under B. That's all. Yes.
I would like to ask: is it possible to write a paper comparing Waker and method
Why do you want to compare Waker? You don't compare two. You see, comparing two is not a work of knowledge something. If you want to do that, the people in, I don't know, informatics or something like that, then they come up with hypotheses, a proposition that says that this is this and that, and then they want to show something, all those, then they compare that. So it has nothing to do with you can do it if you are working for the people from informatics. I'm not putting them down. They are doing a different type of research. Okay? It's a different type of research, and their research is based on proposition. And proposition, they turn it into hypothesis. And hypothesis, they try to show why something is better or this one works in this environment. That's all. So if you are doing that, you can go ahead. But you see, in science, we say we don't want to compare apple with orange because they are not the same.
Fitness for purpose.
If you can choose 2 or 3 variants of apple and you compare them, it makes sense.
Yes.
But if I have apple and I have orange, they're not comparable.
And Prof, you mentioned also when you were looking at those tools,
Yeah.
this one is best suited for this kind of problem, for this kind of data.
Yeah.
To reduce to fitness of purpose. You don't just compare, just for comparison's sake.
Okay, we need to move fast now because I see that it's getting to noon, and I want to show you a lot more than what we are seeing. Okay, now, if you want to, assuming you want to visualize the classifier in terms of the error, okay, let's go back. You see, right click on that again. It will open the same window as before, and look for visualize classifier errors. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Click on that, and it will show you that. Now the background. What background is he giving you? If we give you a black background, it's better. My screen normally doesn't show black background. I don't know why. What background do you have? White. Okay. It means we have the same thing. Okay. You have to look closely. If you look in the center here, you see some points. If you look at the corner here, you see some point. Okay. Now remember, we have ABC. You remember Setosa, Veriscola, and this one. Okay. If you come to the third one, look at these two green here. You see them? Let's see if you can increase that. Use jitter. There's something called jitter. Move it. It will increase the something for you to see. Can you see?
Yes.
Move that jitter to the right a little bit. It will increase the clarity of the data. Hello?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is fantastic. I think Professor Pius showed something similar last week. Probably some of you didn't appreciate that. Look at the blue. The blue represents Iris setosa. The red represents vesicular. And the green represents what? Okay. Now look at the green closely. You have a cluster here. Those are the 15 instances. And you have these two here. Those are the two misclassified. In vector space, why is it that he put these two on B? You see, we are looking at two-dimensional. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. If you can see it in three-dimensional, you will appreciate it. It calculated the distance, for example, using something like Euclidean distance or something else, the distance between these two and that, the distance between these two and that, and look for the average. And the one that is closest to is that. And they put it there. You can see the position where it is. Now, if you look at it from two-dimensional point of view, you'll be telling yourself this is closer to that than that, right? But that's two-dimensional. Yeah. We're not going there. This thing is not two-dimensional. Okay. It's vector space. Okay? So that's why you have it. That's why I'm saying, when you are writing a paper, don't go into details of, just say two are misclassified. That's the end of story. End of story. Because if you want to go into that detail, you have to explain. Yeah. And there's no way, unless you get the three-dimensional, then you can explain really it is B. Okay? So this is important for us to, and then if you open that, look at this. Look at here. Look at your right-hand side again. Now, here we only saw two dots. Are you with me? Yes. In vector space, it's not just two dots. Those instances, they have attributes. Each attribute has features. Okay? So if you look at them, they are actually scattered all over. So we are not just calculating two things. We are calculating a lot of things that are scattered all over. This is a cluster for the green, cluster for the red, cluster for the blue. But you can see a lot of scattering here. So based on the hyperplane and then the distances, then it uses that. You see, to classify all these clusters that are together is easy for the algorithm. They are closer, they are together. Put them. The one that is difficult are all this one. Okay? So there are so many things you can do. I will leave that for you to explore as good graduate student does. Yeah, okay, close that window. There's so many things I can explain there, but we don't have time for that today. Let me show you something else. Now, let's do neural network. Okay? So go back to choose. Click on choose. Click on functions. Open functions. Once you open function, you will find 6 algorithms. There are not only 6, there are so many, but those are the 6 you can actually apply to this data. That's what Weka does for you. Okay? It will not show the one that you cannot apply to the current data. It will show you the one you can apply. Okay? Are you with me? The first one is the deep learning feed-forward neural network. Okay? The next one is logistics neural network. Remember, last week we started by talking about linear model, and we went on to logistic regression. Okay? We went on to logistic regression. Hello? Leave those people alone. Just look at me. Leave them alone. We went on to logistic regression. Are you with me? Yeah. Then we talk about multi-perceptron. Okay? Okay? And then, even logistic, we talk about simple logistic with just one middle layer. Okay? So, you have it there. The first one is the deep learning one that I showed you in my previous presentation. We're not using that. The second one is logistics. The third one, is the multi-layer perceptron. And then, you follow by simple logistic. And then, we talk about support vector machine. You remember? A version of it is SMO. Yes.
For example, we have only 4 activated functions here.
Maybe it's what is in store for you. What are the ones that you have?
We have logistic,
multi-perception, simple logistics.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Sorry. On my computer, I've already ported. Yeah, sorry. Okay. I've already ported the deep learning. you have already ported the deep learning. We cannot do it on your computer simply because you don't have the administrator privilege. So we cannot port that. I've already ported R also. I've ported Python on my something. So probably what I displayed is not the same thing. So that's normal. Whatever you have, tell me which one you have. You should have logistics, yes, multi-layer, simplex, and SMO. Yes. Good. We are okay. Don't worry. We are okay. We won't go outside that. But another thing again you should know is that if you are using Weka, you can port a lot of things into Weka. I will show you how to do that. Towards the end, remind me. It's just 1 minute. Now, let's choose simple logistic. Choose simple logistic. Okay? The window will go away. Now, click Start. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Now, forget about the top. I'm not going there. Just let me look at the result. Correctly classify 50. You have the same result? Okay? Incorrectly classified, only 1. Okay? And that is it there. Okay? So that means that for this data, are you with me? Using simple logistic is a better algorithm compared to 3J48. Okay? Now, you may be thinking, well, we now use simple logistic. We should be able to get better result if we use logistics or multi-perceptron. That may be your thinking. So let's try and see. Before I tell you what I think about it, go back to choose. Okay? Under function, choose multi-layer perceptron. Choose multi-layer perceptron, multi-layer perceptron. Click start. What do you get? The same thing. Now, what is this? Now, if you look at time taken to build, is 0.32 seconds. Can you see that? Time taken to build 0.32 seconds. Now go back here, click simple logistic. It will show you the previous result. Okay? How many times does it take to build? 0.63. Okay. Just wait. Maybe I'm too fast. Go back to multi-layer perceptron. Are you there?
Yes.
Time taken to build, 0.32 seconds. Time taken to test, 0 seconds. Are you with me? Okay? Hello? Are you with me? Yes. Now, click on simple logistics. Time taken to build, 0.63, is higher than the other one. Time taken to test, 0.03, is higher than the other one. Okay? So, two things here. Number one, when you are dealing with big data, here we are talking about how many instances? Only 150. We are using 66% for training, 51 for whatever, okay? Now, assuming we have 2 million of that, are you with me? Yes. If you have 2 million of that, then I will go for multi-layer perceptron because it's faster than the simple logistics. Now, the misconception here is that some people, because we call it simple logistic, it should be faster than multi-layer perceptron. No. Last week, if you pay attention, we moved from linear model into logistic in order to be able to do certain things to get the output to be probability 0,1. Okay? And then later on, we concluded by saying, actually, we don't need that because it's computationally expensive. We can actually use simple perceptron to do the same thing by applying kernel function. If you remember, I made mention of that. Kernel is easier to compute compared to dot product. Hello? Anybody here last week? Yes. Yeah, you need to take that with you. I'm just trying to explain to you why this is faster than the other one. So, look, it's simple arithmetic. So, for the fact that we have multi-perceptron here, to be faster than simple logistic, it depends on the way the calculation is done. Okay? So, and that's why when somebody asks me, what algorithm do you think is the best for this? And I will tell them, take part of the data, run it with different algorithms, check the result, and then make your choice. It's simple. This doesn't take time. If you know how to use Weka, it takes 1 minute to do each one of them. It gives you an idea, and then you set up the big thing, and you forget it. It's as simple as that. Okay? Yes, please.
Just want to know the time for processing. Does it depend on the machine that you have?
Yeah, it's also depend on the machine. Yeah, you're right. It depends on the machine.
According to your computer,
yeah,
the simple logistic takes more time.
Yeah.
It's the inverse in my computer.
Oh, it's the inverse in your computer. Is it desktop computer you're using? Okay. What type of cache do you have? Cache. You know what they call cache?
Yeah.
Okay, look, it doesn't matter. What I want you to see is actually, you can experiment with that based on the architecture of the machine. That's why when you write a paper, you have to talk about the environment. Yeah. Yes.
I think I did the same thing, but I think the first simple logistic took more time.
Yeah.
But going to choose it again gives a lesser time.
Yeah, because it's already trained. It will not retrain it again. Yeah, that's be careful with that. It's the same data. It's already in the memory. You know, that's why I'm asking you, what type of cache do you have? Yeah. So
sorry, Prof, is there a parameter by which we can say, okay, this is result we got, level of efficiency given this system architecture,
yes,
and then this one, so that we have something like a weight to say that okay, in the finality, this is better than this. Is there something we can normalize?
It depends on the data. The data, the size of the data, and the architecture of the machine. You see, the memory, because I'm using a laptop here, which is MacBook here. I don't have hard disk on my laptop. Everything is live memory, and I have limited. I have only 500 megabyte of live, because I don't have any hard disk. Okay, so I can do a lot of things here, but at times I get into trouble when I run software like Waker that needs a lot of memory. So I get into trouble. So it depends on the architecture of the computer as well as the data. That's why it's very important, whatever you are doing, the first thing is to describe the environment. So there's no other something. But those things, those characteristics disappear once we are talking about GPU, we are talking about deep learning, and at that level, the architecture of the machine is such that it plays little role anymore. Okay? It's the computational power of the processor that comes into play. So, what I'm trying to teach you here is that you want to choose the best algorithm. You can do a number of things. A lot of things you can do. So get the best. Yes, please. You want to say something? Okay. Now, another thing we can do, if we go back to multi-layer perception or even simple logistic, let me see if I can do it here on my computer. I can visualize no, okay. So you know what thing I will tell you? Okay, let me do this before I give you how to do it. Okay, yeah, that's possible. Okay, now go back here, just leave your something here. Then once you reach there, it will show the same algorithm up here. Now, click on that. As another window will open. Click on it. A window will open. Can you see that window? Are you with me? Okay, then you see GUI. GUI is put as false. Change it to true. Change that to true. Okay? I'm doing this for those that are asking me questions how to produce visualization, how to save and all that. So change that to true, okay? And then close the window. Say okay. Don't just close it. Click okay. Not save. No, don't save it. Just okay. Not just okay. Okay? Okay? Now, go back and rerun the simulation again. Click start. Rerun it again. So once you click start, another window will appear. Are you with me? You can make that window bigger if you want to see more of that, and make it bigger. So that's your neural network. That's your network. Okay? The input are those 4 features, 4 attributes. The intermediate layer is in red. The output are given. Yes. That's it. So this one, now, there are a number of things we need to see here. Is everybody there before I talk? The simulation is not run yet. It simply produced for you the perceptron, the multi-layer perceptron that it's going to use. Okay? So if you look at that window, there are a number of things. There's epoch, or I don't know how you pronounce it, epoch or epoch, whichever one, is 0. I explained that the first time I came. Anybody here who attended the first time I came, I explained that? No. Okay, go back and look at your slide. Okay. Now, it gives you number of epoch, it's 500. You know, when I was explaining it, I used a scatter graph. Remember? Use a scatter graph. Okay? Now, what perceptron does is now to look at your data and try to determine the number of runs, revolution, that is going to produce. We refer to each one as an epoch. Okay? Here we set it to 500. You can change that value. If you know the arithmetic, you can change that value, but leave it as it is. With error, you set it to 0. Okay, set it to 0, which means it's looking for the maximum accuracy possible. Okay? Then if you come to the right-hand side here, we talk about learning rate. Okay? And remember, last week we talked about activation function. Activation function. And we talked about combination of loss function and activation function give us an idea of learning rate. It's in the slide. If you have forgotten, go and check it. The mathematics is there. So, you put it at 0.03. That one too, you can change it. You can increase the learning rate. You see, in deep learning, you want to increase the learning rate to reduce the amount of time. Okay? It also gives you the momentum. Okay? The momentum actually linked with the loss function. Okay? Is in English, in plain English, it means the number of jump that need to be done in order to produce the standardization. For example, if you are dealing with image processing, you know any image, there are edges of the image, there is the inner something of the image, and when you are doing the learning of the image, how fast you want to go, how slow you want to go, is what we call momentum. Okay? That's momentum. So if you want to go fast, you increase the momentum. If you want to go slow, you decrease the momentum. The bigger the momentum is, depending on the size of your data, the less the accuracy. Okay? So I'm just telling you this. You don't need to know all this. You can just click and get your result and get out. But if you want to play around with all these things, you can play around with them. Okay? Now that we have this, to run the simulation now, we have to click Start. You can see there's Start there. And then you will see something going on. Okay? And then you wait a little bit, then you click Accept. The window will disappear. Now, if it doesn't finish, the window will come back again. You didn't wait long enough. So you click Start again. Okay? Now, one way to look at it is that there's a board here that is dancing. Okay? It will stop when that thing has reached certain saturation level. Okay? Again, it depends on the memory. You know, I told you, my computer here, everything I have is live memory, store everything here, so it may be different from what you are getting. But in my own case, I have occasionally this work, this doesn't work, so it doesn't exist. Okay? So I get result now. I've waited enough, I get result, and that's my result. Okay? It's the same result as before because we are using the same algorithm. Doesn't matter. Okay? Okay. Are you enjoying this? No?
Yes.
Okay. What else can we do here? Now, the same data, I want us to apply another type of classifier. So let's go back to classify. We click classify, then we choose, we click choose. Let's close the function. Now let's open bias, B-A-Y-E-S. Click it open. Then it gives you different types of algorithm. You have bias network, you have hidden Markov model, you have naive bias, you have naive bias for multinomial data, naive bias for multinomial test, naive bias for update, and so on and so forth. You have so many of them. Okay? Now, let's just choose naive bias, the classical one. Okay? That window will disappear. Choose naive bias, and then click start. Click start, it will generate result for you. And look at the result now. What do you think about the result? Look at the confusion matrix. Or you can start from correctly classified 48, incorrectly classified 3. And now we have for iris color, you have 18 correctly classified, 1 incorrectly classified. For iris Latinica, you have 15 correctly classified, 2 incorrectly classified. Okay? So at least based on my computer and everything, this algorithm doesn't work as well as the multi-layer perceptron and simple logistics. Okay? So you can do this as much as you want. It doesn't really matter. Okay? You can see that actually using this type of tool doesn't take a lot of time. Okay? So instead of asking somebody, what algorithm do you know is the best for this? Just do that. You will be able to decide on your own what algorithm do you think is the best. Okay? Now, there's one thing I want to show you again. We're still talking about visualization. Assuming I want to visualize individual features of this classification. That is, I want to look at iris tonal or each individual one. I go back and I right-click on that. I right-click on that, right-click on it. It will open another. Okay, it will open another window. Okay, are you with me? Now, choose visualize threshold curve. That will open a small window. Okay? Choose the middle one, for example. Choose the middle one. It will open another window for you. I'll show you the threshold curve for that. Now, what is threshold curve? For those of us who know the science of this thing, there's something we call ROC, area under the curve. Are you with me?
Yeah.
ROC. So if you look at the top here, you see area under the ROC. It will give you a value. In this case, it's 0.988 something. Okay? So the threshold for this is roughly about 99.85%. That's the area under the curve. Okay? Now, if you want to see all this, you can use the jitter you can move it to the right. It will change it for you to see the different nuances. Look, if you put it at minimum, it appears as if it's a straight line. Yeah. Everything is a straight line. It's not. If you move the jitter, it will actually increase the what is it called, and show you the different deflection, but the curve still form the same thing. Yes?
Sorry, Prof. I want you to explain that AUC.
AUC, yeah, area under the curve. Yeah.
How did they come across themselves in that?
Oh, okay. I didn't want to go into that. There's true positive, false positive, and there's what? Anybody know here? True negative, false negative. Okay? Now, combination of these will give you what we call recall. We also give you what we call precision. Are you with me? Yes. We also give you sensitivity. We give you sensitivity, okay? And then you can use recall, precision, sensitivity to calculate the accuracy, to calculate area under the curve, and to do so many things. Okay? Now, if I want to go into the arithmetic, we need 1 hour, which I don't have. Okay? So, but that's it. Now, you can set Waker, actually, to generate all these values for you in a table. Do you want us to do that? We can set it.
Yes. I know how to get a recall, precision, and mathematical.
Yeah.
But when it comes to area under curve, I find it difficult to get a mathematical expression for the area under curve.
It is based on the logistic regression. And when you calculate the regression, that is the distance between each of the feature to certain threshold, that's why we call it threshold curve. And that distribution, you plot it against 0 to 1. The value you are going to end up with is a probability value. None of the value will be greater than 1. Okay, they are 0 point something, 0 point something, 0 point something, 0 point something, and you plot it against, okay, both the vertical and the horizontal. It will give you the area under the curve. But first of all, you have to apply the logistic regression, something, and then use the distance. It will calculate the distance from the attribute, and then whatever is left is the result that is giving you, which is 0 point something. So the x and the y, you plot them together and you get that. Oh, this thing, I don't know. Is there any way we can see that here? I've done something before that actually showed me the table. Not this version. This is the newest version. This version actually came out this year. In the old version, there's something you can do that will actually generate the table that is plotted there for you. But this version doesn't come with that button. Yes?
Because I watched one YouTube. We're using this graph, the system operating characteristic graph.
Yeah.
To explain area under graph, area under curve, using the available space.
Yes.
Under the
curve, yeah.
To explain it.
Yeah.
But I couldn't.
Okay. Oh, is that what you want? Look at that value there. Where's the value again? 0 point. That. You see that value there? Okay. Yes, sir. Now, when we talk about normal distribution, I'm going to go through this quickly. We talk about normal distribution, we have something like this, something like that. And normally, we want to plot that against mean of 1 and standard deviation of 0, okay? And we have normal distribution. That is the simple statistics that depends on the mean and the standard deviation. And you can actually get your normal distribution. When it comes to area under the curve, it's based on the regression. Okay, if I have a point here, okay, I have a point here in the normal distribution. I want to calculate the distance between that point and then a threshold. Assuming my threshold is this, I want to calculate the distance between that, and I get a result which will be 0.xxy something. Okay, so I do that for all my points in the graph. Okay, I find that that's my x. I find that. Okay, then I now transpose that. Instead of using the origin, which is standard deviation of 0 here, I transpose it based on whatever I set as my threshold for standard deviation, and calculated the distance again with respect to each of the points. I get my y. Okay? I get my y. Then when I plot my x against y, I produce what I call area under the curve. That's what I get. Now, what is that telling me? What it's telling me is that each of those points, the distance from the origin, that is the origin, to those points, whatever distance you are using doesn't really matter here. We are using, in machine learning, we use big words like Euclidean and all these things. In statistics, it's simply regression. It's either correlation or simple regression. That's all it means. Actually, deep learning in statistics is called correlation. That's all. Okay? So we now plot those points here. Okay? Now, everything under that curve is what is referred to as area under the curve. And what it means is that in this case, 98.85% of the original data actually fall below that line. Fall below that line. The remaining, which is 0.011 whatever, fall either on the line or above the line. Okay? That's what it means in statistics. And now, what does that explain to us? In terms of accuracy, it gives us a 99% accuracy, a 99% area under the curve is a better accuracy compared to a 95%. Okay? We're not saying the accuracy is 98.8. No. But it's a better accuracy under the, which also shows that in terms of sensitivity, the sensitivity of this data is 0.0 whatever. Precision is roughly 99%. Okay? And then the recall is the difference. That's what it means. Okay? So the better the value of the area under the curve, the higher the value of area under the curve, the better the precision, the better the less is the sensitivity. Okay? Because a model that is too sensitive is not a good model. Yeah. That's why I said, look, this has its own arithmetic. We don't want to go into it. We need 1 hour to actually explain the statistics. But you can do that. You can check the data. Well, what you need here is actually the value given to you there. And then, if you want to put the graph in your paper, just save that and put it there. That's all. Nothing more. Okay? How much time do you have left? When are you going to your class? You don't have the class anymore? Oh, okay.
Today and next week.
Oh, okay. Good. That's great. So we can do something. The last thing I want us to choose on that classifier, let's try another algorithm and then we'll move on from there to something else. So let's go back to choose. Let's close the bias and then let's open tree again. We go back to tree again. And then this time we choose, I believe you have random tree. Do you have that? Yes. Okay, choose random tree and then click on start. Click on start and then it gives you results. As you can see, the result is similar to that of naive bias. It's similar. What? Yeah. Random. Oh, I repeated. What did I do?
Not random for
Okay, let me go back. Maybe I didn't choose. Okay, I choose random 3.
Random 3.
Oh, okay, I have it now. Sorry. Yeah. So I have it now, random 3. So you can see the result. Out of all the algorithms we look at, I think it's the worst of them all. Okay? So that's the worst. And if you look at the, what is it called, the root relative square error, it's really big, 48.36. Okay? And the kappa statistics is low, it's below 90. Okay? So that is the, so we leave that, then we move on to something else. I'll show you something else. We get out of classifier, and then we go on to, actually there's something that you can do with classifier. Anyway, you can look at that on the road. Let's go to cluster. So click on cluster. You click cluster. Maybe we should choose another data. Actually, we should choose another data to do that so that we can see different type of data how they behave. Let me see data that will work well. Okay, well, we can use the same data for now. We can use the same data for now. Maybe choose this different data. Okay, you click on cluster, you are here, then go to choose. When you get to choose, it will open for you a list of cluster algorithm. Let's use COBWEB. Can you see that? COBWEB. Yeah, click on that. Okay, so now, now, on your left-hand side, you will see classes to cluster evaluation. Click that. Instead of use training set, click on classes to cluster evaluation. Classes to cluster evaluation. Now, I will explain that briefly. What we are trying to do here is that we are trying to use the attribute, the label attribute, class, or you can choose any other attribute, actually. You can choose any other one. But we are trying to use that for our clustering. Okay? If you don't choose that, it's going to just randomly generate something for you. Okay? So we choose that, so we know we have 3 classes. Then once you choose that, the next thing you do, just click start. Just click start. Okay. So we have the results. I won't go into the interpretation, but yeah, just scroll down to see the result. Because we impose the cluster classes from the beginning, which is 3. So it's limited to generating 3 clusters. And the reason we can do this is that we have an idea of the data. You know what the data is, okay? If you don't know what the data is, it will be difficult to do that, okay? So we impose that, but what it does here, we have 150, right? 150. It now generates only 2 clusters instead of 3. Okay? Generated only 2 clusters and put all iris in cluster 2. Put the remaining 2 in cluster 1. Okay? And it will tell you here, because it's a label data, it will tell you incorrectly cluster instances 50. Incorrectly clustered instances. Yes.
Can you repeat something?
Okay. You know, at the beginning we chose classes to cluster.
Yeah,
so we impose that it has to be 3 clusters. We impose the label, which is ABC. We already imposed that. So the result that this can generate is either 3 or less.
3 or less, okay.
Yes. Okay? Now, when it uses its algorithm, it was able to classify correctly, that is clustered correctly, iris setosa. Are you with me? But the other 2, he couldn't differentiate them. He put them into the same cluster. He couldn't differentiate them. Okay? It means here that whatever distance calculation that algorithm is using cannot differentiate the difference between this and that. And then just lump them together in the same cluster. But it will give you, because you already imposed from the beginning, you already told the algorithm these are 3 clusters, then it will give you the result. Incorrectly clustered instances 50. Which means that out of these 2, 50 is not correctly classified. 1 cluster is not correctly classified. Okay? Okay? Are we with this? Now, let's go back and choose another type of clustering. Open choose. Let's choose simple k-means. Simple k-means. Can you see that? Simple k-means. Okay? Simple k-means. Now, click on that algorithm. It will open a bigger table for you. We're not going to change the default. I just want to show you certain things. We're not going to change it for now. As you can see, maximum number of canopy in the memory that you can make it 100. You can reduce it, you can make it bigger depending on the size of your data. But forget about that. Canopy period pruning rate is 10,000. Another one that is more or less like the rate of landing, similar to that. Okay? But density here is put at 2. Okay? We're not going to touch that. We'll run the algorithm and see later on. Initialization method is put as false. Okay? Distance function, look at it. You choose Euclidean. You can change that if you don't want Euclidean. Okay? If you want to see the debug, you can make that true. Okay? And so on and so forth. So you can do a number of things. You can scroll down. On the side, you see something that you can use to scroll down. That's the one I want you to see. If you scroll down, number of cluster. Now you see, you put it as 2. Waker, by default, we make it 2 cluster. So I want us to change that to 3. Change that to 3. Okay? And then once you change that to 3, just click OK. Okay? Click OK, and then click Start. Run it. Okay? So if you run it, you get this result. If you remember, we said 3 cluster. 3. We are able to impose that because we have a knowledge of the data. Are you with me? Yes. We have a knowledge of the data. Now, if you don't have knowledge of the data, I will explain to you later what you can do. Just wait. For now, we have the knowledge of the data. We know that we have 3 clusters. We impose 3 clusters. So it generates confusion matrix for us, as before. It correctly classified iris setosa. Can you see that? Yes. He put it in cluster 1, all the 50. For the other iris versicolor, he correctly classified 47, incorrectly classified 3. And for the third one, correctly classified, which is 36, incorrectly classified 14. And then at the bottom, it will tell you the result. Incorrectly clustered instances, 17, which is 11.33%. Okay? Okay? So that's that. So now, the problem with clustering is that because it's an unsupervised learning, there's no training compared to classifier, which is they are under supervised learning. There's no training. So here there's no training. You simply pick the data, you impose 3 classes, then it's partition them into 3 classes. Okay? So there's no training. Number 2, assuming you don't know anything about the data, the question is, what K are you going to choose? What you can do is take part of that data. Are you with me? Start with K equal to 2. Check the accuracy. Move to the second simulation with the same set of data. Put K to be 3. Check the accuracy. And iterate like that up to K to any level until the error becomes useless. You stop. You check it. You know when the error is actually changing. It's something like this. It's improving like that, and at a certain point, it will start to drop. Okay? So the stopping point will be somewhere there. Okay? You look at it, and you look at the best K. Then that's your K. That's for K. Now, the problem here is that, remember, the algorithm, the distance here is Euclidean. So that K is best for that distance. So you can change the distance again and conduct another set of simulation. Okay? And you can do for another type of distance. And then you now put those 3 tables side by side and make your choice. You make your choice of K, you make your choice of distance, and then you use it for the rest of the data. That's all. That's all. There's nobody that can tell you, looking at the data and say, okay, the K should be equal to this. No. Nobody can tell you that. Nobody can tell you that. You have the data is not labeled, you don't know the data, you want to have an idea of the data, and you apply clustering, you have to simulate. Change your value of K, iterate over K, then iterate over distance, produce tables, and move on. Now, theoretically, the number of K cannot be greater than the number of features in the data. That's theoretical something. The number of K cannot be greater than the number of features in the data. Now, you can set it to be greater. The algorithm will produce something for you. But from theoretical perspective, if I have 5 features, I'm looking at K equal to 2 to 5. If I have 4, I'm looking at K equal to 2 to 4. That's it. If I have 25, I'm looking at K equal to 2 to 24. That's all. Are you following my argument? So it's not an infinity. Okay? So you use your knowledge of the theory. Your K cannot be bigger than the number of features in your data. If it is, then it doesn't make sense anymore. It's just not. Yes, please.
Suppose we have a data set that we already know the classification, so we know there are 2 classes.
Yeah, just set it to 2 and move on.
Okay, but for argument's sake, we set it to 3 or 4.
Yeah.
It means clustering would cluster it into 4 different classes.
Yes.
Does that make the algorithm less efficient in terms of how it clusters?
No, because, okay, there's a way to do it. You know, in k-means or passive k-means, by default it starts by 2, right? Now there's another type of algorithm, which is the group of hierarchical clustering algorithms, where you don't specify anything. You can use that without specifying anything and see what result is going to give you, okay? And use that knowledge to now come back and apply k-means. It doesn't mean the algorithm is not good, but if you give k-means 10, it will partition your data into 10, but if you cannot partition it, it will partition it to how far you can partition it and tell you the rest are misclassified. Are you getting my point now? But if you understand the data, for example, if I have a network traffic data, network traffic data comes in variance of 2, whether it's normal data or it's abnormal. That's all. I don't care about the rest. Is it a normal traffic network or is it abnormal? Then I set my K to be 2. Now, what do I play with to get the best accuracy? What I play with is my distance function. I can use Euclidean as my distance function and play around. I can use city block. I can use Manhattan. I can use cosine. I can even use nearest neighbor. Okay, nearest neighbor is not just a distance. What it does is that you now impose nearest neighbor on clustering and then added function, distance function to it. Okay, what that means is that how many elements in a set is going to use to compare with the incoming set in order to classify it. That's what nearest neighbor does. If it is one nearest neighbor, it will take only one element, randomly compare it, and then if they are close, classify it. If it is 2, it will choose 2. If it is 3, and so on and so forth. So those are the things that you can do. Once you know the number of classes, there's no need to do simulation on k equal to anything. You know them, stick to that. What you can play with is the distance function. Yeah. Any other question on this? Don't worry, we are coming to an end of this quickly. I'll just show you something again that we can do. Okay, can we look at the visualization of this? I think we can. Let me see. Let's set it. I'm just looking. Okay, go back to Cop Web. Okay, right click on it and visualize tree. It will show you that. Okay? Good. So, the question you want to ask is that why is it that under simple k-means we cannot see the tree? Anybody can answer that? What? If you right click on simple k-means, you cannot visualize the tree. Why?
Because of class.
Why? Because the way k-means work, you know the equation of k-means? It's a distribution. Okay? Now, it just group things together. It cannot actually show you a tree that says this is that. It's a grouping. That's the way k-means work. Okay? The only thing you can see with k-means, you can visualize the cluster assignment. That's it. That's the cluster assignment. If you right click and you click on cluster assignment, you see this. You can see all blue, which is cluster 0, all red, which is cluster 1, all green, which is cluster 2. Okay? And you can actually quickly see the misclassification for the green. You can see those two, 1, 2, 3. Those are the misclassification. Okay? So that's what k-means will show you. Unlike cobweb, cobweb is a tree structure type of algorithm. It builds it based on certain probability and then put them together and it can show you a tree. But K-means doesn't work like that way. It's a distribution, and that's what you get. Always remember, when we say distance, we're talking about vector space. Vector space. Okay? Any question on this? Okay. So you can use, let's quickly do something here. I want to do something here. Let's talk about a little bit of politics, US politics. There's a data here which I'm looking for. Okay, close this. Go back to pre-process. Are you there? Yes. Open file. It will take you, it will open the file again. Look for the data called vote. V-O-T-E. Vote. Open it. Double click on it and open it. Okay? It's a data collected based on American politics. That's why I say we want to do a little bit of politics. So if you look at the different attributes in the data, handicap, infant, water project, adoption, religious group in school, anti-satellite something, immigration, education spending, crime, duty-free, etc. So those are the attributes of the data. Okay? Look, you can visualize it as we did before. And if you want to see all of them, click on visualize all. It will show you that. Visualize all. It will show you that window. Okay? Now, if you look at this data very well, they are simple data. Even if you have 1 gigabyte of this data, or even 10 gigabytes, you cannot refer to it as big data. They're simple data. They're all binary. It's either this or that. That's all. So they're simple data. They are not complex. So for the fact that the volume is big doesn't make it a big data. Anyway, that's just by the way. Close that visualize all window. Close it. So what do we want to do now? There's another group of algorithm in Wicker which we call associates. Okay? Click associate, a window will open for you. Are you there? Now I want to say this, for those of us that are in areas such as informatics, information technology, and you are doing something about policy or banking or whatever, association rules are generally useful in that area. And they work better in a data where you have yes or no, or blue or green, or white or black, or something like that. They work really fine there, okay? So that's just what I want to say. Now, if you look at it, automatically a priori is chosen for you, okay? Because it happens to be the first on the line. If you want to choose something else, you can click on choose and choose something else. But let's leave it as a priori and click on start to run the simulation. It will generate a result for you. Leave it on a priori, just click start, it will generate that. Okay? Now, unlike other algorithms, what you have here, it generates a set of rules for you that you can use. Set of rules. Okay? It gives you the size of the set of large item set, the size of the set of that, it gives you all that, okay? And it gives you the best rules. There are 10 rules here. Okay? So if I pick up a tree for rule 1, and the root of my tree is adoption of budget resolution, what are the parameters that control that, especially in American parliament? So you have physician fee, class Democrat, Republican, okay? you have some other thing that you cannot see. Okay? So, the influence of each one of these is more on adoption of budget. That's one good rule. The same thing, we can pick adoption of budget again. Can we find another thing that actually influence that? Generate that rule for you, and so on and so forth. Okay? But we can do something better with this. Let me show you something we can do with this one. Because we are making use of a priori, there's a conclusion I'm looking for, which I'm not finding. I don't know why. Okay, let's go to choose. Let's choose another algorithm here. Pick predictive a priori. Predictive a priori. Predictive.
Do we have it?
You don't have it?
It's under what?
Huh?
It's under.
Click choose. Open it. Do you have predictive a priori?
No, sir.
You don't have it?
Associator,
We only have three.
Yeah. Okay, predictive a priori actually is coming from my plugin, which is deep learning plugin. Okay. It won't give what I want. Okay, choose FP growth. You have that?
Yes.
Okay, choose that. And then click start. You see, it generates the same number of rules for you. Okay? Actually, FP growth generates 41 rules, but the 10 top most is the one that is showing you. And if you look at that 10 top most, it's not the same as a priori, because they are different algorithms. Okay? And actually, if you can do the a priori prediction thing, a priori prediction is going to generate the rules that we saw before, and then it's going to pick some of those rules to do some prediction and give us results. Are you following me? It's going to pick that and give us some result. That's why I wanted to use it, but you don't have it there, so we cannot do that. Sorry. What else can we do with this data? I'm looking at something else we can do. Okay, let's go to up top. You see select attribute. Can you see that? Select attribute. It will open another window for you, and on that window you are going to have two buttons that allows you to choose. Okay, so let me explain this. When you choose select attribute and you want to see the difference between two attribute evaluator, okay, if you look at this window, the first evaluator is CFS subset evaluator, okay? The second one that is going to compare to is what we call best first evaluator. Are you with me? Yeah. Okay? Even if you don't know what those evaluator means, just click start. Click start. It will generate a result for you. The reason why we do attribute evaluation is when you have a data with many attributes, i.e. this data that we have here, there are so many attributes there, and you want to find the best set of attributes. You know, okay, last Saturday, Professor Pius explained, what is it called now?
PCA.
Yeah, PCA, okay? And you want to actually see the attribute that contribute most, okay? You can use PCA. You can use anything. In Wega, you can go to select attribute and choose different type of attribute classification. It will give you the attribute that best contributes in terms of prediction using that data. So in this case, we have 4 of them. Adoption of the budget, physician fee, immigration, and this one, what is it? Something corporation called back. Okay? Now, if you understood American politics very well, you know that health insurance is a big deal in America. The Republican, they want to favor their base, and their base generally are the rich people and the professionals, like doctors and all of them. So one of the things that influence them in terms of voting for a budget will include that aspect. So you can see the share fee freeze is there. The Democrats, they are liberal. They are more into social things. And one of the things that will influence them is perhaps immigration. Are you getting the point? It's about immigration, okay? Another thing is corporation cutback. That's another Republican thing. Republicans, especially conservative among them, believe in less tax, okay? Whereas the Democrat are the opposite. It's more tax, more society. The Republican is less tax and capitalism. You pay for what you consume. Okay? So you can see that when it comes to adoption of budget, these are, so far as this data is concerned, these are some of the top things that actually influence. Okay? So that's the purpose of, now, assuming we want to do it better, instead of just choosing this, we actually want to rank the influence of each attribute. Are you with me? We want to rank it. So we can do that. Now, go back, choose the first, what is it called? The first one, the first button that says choose, open it, okay? And look for, what are we looking for? Information gain. Can you find it? Do you have it?
Yes.
Actually, I don't have it here. Why? Okay, yeah, I have it. Choose that. Then a window will appear for you that tells you you need to rank it. Click yes.
Okay.
If you click yes, it will change best first to ranker. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay? Then click start to do the simulation. Then it will generate a rank attribute for you. You know, what we did before is best first. Best. It gave us 4. That's all. Now we just simply want to see the rank. So we pick all the attributes and rank them for us. So the ranking shows the influence of each of these attributes on the data in terms of using it for prediction. And the best one is physician fee freeze. So if you now do your PCA, okay, you carry out your PCA to reduce the size of the data, in the result of your PCA, because be careful, PCA, what it generates at the end, they are not going to be this type of attribute. They are not. But it will tell you what attribute it uses to generate that. So you now open it up and check what are the attributes that it uses. So in that attribute, you want to see physician, you want to see adoption of budget, you want to see survival, you want to see education spending, you want to see crime. Okay? Because those are the ones that have more influence on the data compared to the rest. Okay? So I think I've done enough today. So you can do a lot of, there's a lot of things you can do with your data. This is what we call understanding the data. Okay? Understanding the data. So it's not just good enough to blindly reduce the data without understanding the data. Okay? Good. What else can we do? On my computer here, I have a lot of things which you cannot do. 3D visualization, C Python scripting, that you don't have it. So we are not going there. So yes.
How do we import the algorithms?
Yeah, I'll show you. I'll show you that. I'll show you how you can import that. Okay, close the Explorer window completely and go back to the small window. That small window we had before. We have that. I don't know why this is coming on. We are there. Okay. Now, I will answer your question first. The question you asked me before, that if you want to use one algorithm, you want to pass the result to the other one. We're not going to go into the simulation, but I'll show you what you can do. You see this thing called experimental. Okay, let's click it open. Experimental. Open it. You see that? Okay. In the experimental, you can choose any number of algorithms you want to use on the data. Any number. Are you with me? You asked the question. Okay? You can choose any number of algorithms you want to use on the data. And once you made your choice and you've configured them, you just click. And where is it now? There's something else will appear for you that you click, and then it will run all of them. And then it will summarize the result in form of a table similar to confusion matrix. Then it will give you the accuracy for each one of them. Okay? Now, that's not the question you are asking, but we will come to that later on. That is using different algorithms, having them in one window, having the result in one table. That's that. So close this window too. Close it. Click on knowledge flow. It will take time to open because it needs more memory than the other one. I hope it will open for me. Okay, it's open here. Okay. Yeah. This one, this is where you use an algorithm similar to what MATLAB does. You get the output, you pass it to another algorithm, and you pass it to another one. So we're not going to go into it. If you look at your left-hand side, open data sources. Okay? Data sources there are, you know, when we are using Explorer, we will use pre-process. So data sources gives you all the things you can use to pre-process a data. Okay? Okay? Like database loader, SVM, whatever, Word to this, text, and so on and so forth. Give you everything. So if you want to, for example, assuming you want to apply C45 loader before a data, click on it, don't release it, move it to the window here. It should give you something. No, it's not coming. It's not coming because we didn't load any data. Okay? So you click on it, you don't release it, you bring it to the window here, you release it, it will stay there. Okay? Then close data source, go on to, for example, let's choose filter. Remember we saw, before we saw something, all filter, multi-filter, rename, supervise, remember that? It's there. So you open whatever you want to use, you click it, you don't release it, you place it here. Our icon will stay there. Okay? Close that. Then go to classifier, open there. So everything we saw in Explorer is there, classifier, open function, you see all those things. Then the algorithm you want to use, you click it, you don't release it, you drop it. So you drop everything you want to use there. Whether you want to use, if for example you want to do logistic regression, you want to pass the results to SMO and so on and so forth, you drop everything here. Then after you've done that, then you come and arrange them in form of graph. Data first, what you want to use to process the data, then you pass that data into algorithm, then the result that we generate pass to something, from that pass it to another algorithm, and so on and so forth. So you build a graph. Just as you do in MATLAB, not that in MATLAB you do is line by line, but this one is graphic. You see the graph. You see that this will do this, it will generate this, it will pass it to this. Then after you've done that, you just click, run. And you check the result, okay? So you can do that, okay? Yeah, that's it. I cannot go into that. I need another 1 day to do that for you. So you can do that. And now, to now come back, those who want to do deep learning using Weka, this is what you use, the knowledge flow environment. You know, deep learning in Weka is simply feed forward the perceptron, okay? Now, assuming you want to do backward flow, you can actually arrange everything here. If you want to do convolutional, in which case you need a filter, there are filter functions there, okay? And then you arrange it, you see your arrangement, you are okay. Just like the way we saw the perceptron arranged before, you arrange it here, and you are okay with the result. You can test it to see what it, and you can even check the intermediate result from each point, and you can do that. It's called workflow and knowledge flow environment. It's the most useful part of Weka. But you need to be able to see that there's a manual for it. Download the manual, play around with it, and use it. I think it comes with predefined something, if I can find it. Normally, in some version, it comes with predefined, which you can use. No, this one doesn't come with predefined. There's some predefined simulation already set up. Just click open them, you see the graphic, and from that graphic, you can actually learn a lot of things by playing around with that. Okay, the last question to answer, Workbench is similar to workflow. Let it open. Come on. Okay. Workbench, actually that's where you have, if you look at Workbench, it looks more or less like, what is it called? Explorer. But the difference here is that you have experiment. You can do experiment on that. That is the experiment window. You can click it on that. Also, you can do what we call data mining. Okay? Data mining process on that. And data mining process is simply what we saw before. Okay? So, if you open Weka Workbench, it covers everything. Explorer, experiment, knowledge environment, everything in one. That's what Workbench does for you. Okay, then if you open simple CLI, it means you want to program Python or Java on your own. That's all. You can write your program and run it. It allows you to do that. Just like you can do what Professor Pius is actually teaching you in MATLAB. As long as you know the name of those functions in Weka, just place them there and run them. Same thing. Exactly the same thing. Okay, now how do you plug in? Go back to the small window. Are you there? Is it log view? I'm looking for the one that is easy actually to do. I think it should be tool. Okay, click tool. It opens a small window for you. Click on package manager and wait. It uses a lot of memory. Okay, it's here. Click on package manager. Now, on top, you have install, available, all. Okay? Now, it's by default, it's all that shows you. So you can scroll. You can scroll there. Now, if you want to see the one that is installed, click install. It will show you everything that is already installed for you. Okay? Now, available, you will then find those that are available. So, assuming I want to, I need to make sure I've had, okay. Assuming I want to add analog modeling. I don't actually need it, but let's add it. Or let's do something fanciful. Arabic stemmers. Okay? This is a function that can actually process some Arabic character. Okay? But we don't need it. But let me click it. Click Arabic stemmer. Okay? Then something will open here for you. It will tell you need to read this before you click install. You need to read it to know what it's doing. Okay? It's a stemming function. Okay? It's a light stemming for Arabic word using stemming. Now, if you are not in image processing, that may be Greek to you. What this means is that, you know, in character recognition, those digits, they are like light, okay? And then we can recognize A, B, C to Z, we can recognize 0 to 9. The same thing, in Arabic letters, this one will be able to recognize Arabic letters. That's what it means. Hello? Character recognition is like X-ray. When you go to your doctor will put X-ray on the light and try to tell you certain things. You may not know what he's looking at because you are not trained. But it's the same in character recognition. It's like passing a light through something and then reading those points. The point that are white is 0. The point that are really black is 250 something. That's all. But Arabic writing is different from English letters that we use in all other languages. Okay? So this function, if you are dealing with Arabic something, this function will allow you to be able to handle that. That's why it's called light stemming for Arabic word using the stemming. The stemming is a function. It's an algorithm. Yes.
Under the category, different categories.
Which different categories are we looking at?
There is a package, then the category.
Where is that? Am I looking at the same thing?
Yeah, you see the package
The
category.
package you select, and then in the middle category.
Time.
Here or here?
On the table.
On the table. Oh, you mean here? Oh, these are the different functions. I just select one. That one. I just select one and it opens it for you so you can read it. If it is something that you want to use, that is useful to you, then you click install. It will install it on Waker for you. That's what it means. Okay? I don't want to install it because I don't need it. I don't want to plug my memory with something I don't need. Okay? So, and then this list is long. Scroll it down. You see? Now, one other thing again is that, assuming you want to port R, you first, there's something there that allows you to port R. But we must first of all download R to your computer, install it, then go into this table, scroll down, there's a function there that allows you to import R, click on it, and then click install. It will bring R into the Waker.
Send to Python.
Yeah. There are so many things here. You can scroll. There's so many things here. You see, there's a lot of them. Okay, those of you who are in class, last Saturday, I believe, last week, I showed you a different perceptron called Willow. You remember Willow? Scroll down to the bottom of this list. You see Willow there, classification. It's there. Willow. So if you click on that and you click on install, it will install it for you. Now, if you go back to classify, you click choose, you will see it and in the list. Okay? But before you install anything, once you click it, it will give you information about that thing. The more you load into Waker, the more memory you use. So don't just discriminately install all sorts of things. Make sure it's something that you actually need before you install it. Because this thing occupies a lot of memory, yes.
You can also uninstall it.
Yeah, you can uninstall it. How do you do that? You go back to all, then you choose it and you install it. Or you can just go back to install. this one, something that is installed, then you choose it and you install it. Yeah. Yes, please.
Can when I work on image?
What image?
Image still images.
There's no algorithm that can work directly on image. Image are always converted.
So how can you convert from how can you use data to convert image?
Oh, you choose a filter to do that. If you are here, if Professor Pius allow, after break, I can present quickly convolution neural network. It will take just about 20 minutes. I'll show you how to plug in. We call them filter. Okay, that's all. The image come in, it filter, and it's good. The image as it is cannot be processed. It's the conversion of the image plus the filter that is processed. Yeah. So after lunch, 20 minutes, I will talk about convolution neural network, and you can see how filter is actually used image processing. Yeah. Remember, anything you do on machine is simply a string of 0 and 1. So your image, if it is black and white, it has 2 points, X and Y. X white, Y black. Okay? Now, it's converted into pixel. Last week we talked about pixel. And 0 means clear. Area, there's nothing. As you move away from 0, the number is increasing. You are moving to area from gray to dark. For black and white, it's the easiest thing. It's just 2 things. It's either 0 or 256. 256 is black. In between is gray. Now, for color, okay, normally we talk about 3 colors. Red, blue, or green, and yellow. Normally 3 colors define everything. Okay? So you have 3 positioning, vector space positioning, and then the algorithm also can undo that, convert it, filter it, and go on. Okay? Yeah. Now, there's a difference between that and the output. Output is handled differently later on. Prediction is one thing, output is another thing. In gaming industry, where they use a lot of deep learning, the output, handling the output, is a machine on its own, different from the prediction. The result of the prediction is passed on to that, and that now handle the output and show you your beautiful whatever. Okay? So that's a different thing altogether.
So that filtering according to what it does is doing a feature extraction from the image.
It extract, it deform, it reduce, so you do so many things before you can process it. Yeah. Look, let's wait after break because I think I'm tired now. After break, we can actually talk more. I think Professor Pius will give me about 20 minutes or 30 minutes out of his time. We can talk a little bit about that, and then we can pick it on August 3. Okay, and move on from there. So thank you.